Now, there are stories, I don't know whether they're true,
Yeah.
that you've been driving around London with your car window down.
Yeah, I do that.
And seeing people protesting
Yeah.
that they want the people's vote, as they call
Yeah,
it, second
yeah,
referendum.
yeah.
So is it true that you've been having a talk to...
Yeah. I don't have a talk. Actually, I actually shout out the window when I'm driving past. Because every time when I used to have a guy, my good friend Jay, he sometimes picks me up from the gym. I'm like, oh, take it right here. And he looks at me and goes, no, please don't. And when I get up, I'm like, yeah, Brexit. You know.
We want to be honest, yeah? You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 346th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call we have Andy Patterson, Adam Smido-Smith, Rapping Rob Kelly, and Gabe Lewis. Only one place to start tonight. Josh Taylor versus Regis Prograis. We'll be on to that very shortly. Also covering Chisora against Price, Stevenson Gonzalez, bit of Erickson Lubin, bit of Robert Easter, a big Canelo Kovalev fight preview later in the evening, plus questions, comments, Bellew of the Week's flying in, couple of guests, much to discuss. Going to be a big one, Andy. Let's kick off with yourself then, shall we? Josh Taylor against Regis Prograis. The scores of 117-112 to Matteo Montella. More palatable 115-113 Alfredo Polanco, and Benoit Russell 114-114. Wouldn't complain about that either. I felt last week that Prograis' extra bit of technical quality and ability to pick his shots might just edge it for him. That's why I picked him to win. That said, I was rooting for Josh Taylor, and I was delighted that he got the nod, albeit with the requisite dodgy scorecard thrown in for good measure that we seem to see these days.
Yeah, it was a really close fight, really good competitive fight, and it's just what we long for as boxing fans. You know, two guys banging their prime, banging it out. I had it 115, 113 to Taylor. Prograis, even with this fight and stuff, his stock's risen. I did think it was a wee bit heavy weather for him around about the 9th and the 10th. Prograis, I did think he was showing signs. Does show a really good chin and stuff, and he's got a really kind of thick neck to really kind of take those shots. It just kind of bounced off him. Worked the body pretty well in that as well, Prograis. So Taylor really tried to kind of use his physicalities and stuff, really kind of try and make it really working close and stuff. But at times that Prograis showed really kind of deft defensive moves. He was slipping, he was sliding, and again, that was what I mentioned last week. That Taylor sometimes kind of overcommits on the inside. You could just think he could maybe kind of keep it at mid-distance and kind of make it easy for him, but he just kind of likes to kind of get involved in a scrap, I suppose. Then he's got the kind of the bad swelling of the eye and a cut for good measure in that as well. I did mention the scar tissue last week as well, so it seems it's going to be a problem going in as well. But as for Taylor, that it was a fantastic performance. Was it 16-0 now? Potentially going to America and fighting Ramirez, and that it would be absolutely fantastic at this point for him as well. But yeah, it was just a great fight actually. As I say, this tournament has been an absolute revelation for me actually, just because we've had likes of the cruiserweights, we've had the likes of some big fights at super middleweight and that as well. And we've had these two. At one point it looks like it wasn't going to happen, but thankfully it did. We got really high quality boxing there last night. We should be really thankful to kind of watch that. It was just a shame I couldn't be there, but it was absolutely brilliant fight. Scorecards was at 117, 112 or whatever it was. It was pretty much disgraceful. Again, it's obviously they're scoring every kind of close roundish to Josh Taylor and that, but Prograis no way disgrace and stuff. But and it was really kind of refreshing to see him at the end of the fight. Basically kind of saying, admitting he probably kind of lost the fight. Taylor's also admitting as well it was really close. He probably kind of thought he shaded it by, I think he said 1 or 2 rounds. And Prograis kind of admitted that he kind of felt he just, left it a bit late. I mean, he done well in rounds 11 and 12, especially in the 12 and stuff. He had Taylor backing up, really good body shots. As I was mentioning about Prograis taking a wee bit of kind of, it wasn't so much of a beating that, but I remember in the 10th, Taylor really sunk in a really brutal body shot and stuff. It really did seem to kind of win them. I did think, then Taylor could maybe kind of step in and get stoppage kind of like around about 11 and 12, but Prograis stuck in there, showed again improvements in that, because he was doing that dip to the right I was talking about, not as much, and he was kind of disguising it as well, but he really did well working the body, Good jab. It was really kind of causing Taylor a lot of problems, especially early half of that fight as well. So yeah, really pleased with last night's main event and stuff. We can obviously get on into the rest of the card in a wee bit and that, but for me that was probably, I'll not say fight of the year contender, but I'll go for like a kind of 7, 8 out of 10 fight for me.
Yeah, I think it was touching on fight of the year contender for me. Even though it was a close, very competitive, and naturally you'd want to see a rematch after that, I'm actually more inclined to see them go their separate ways. Maybe come back together a few fights down the line, Rob. Josh Taylor called out Ramirez to unify afterwards, which I loved. I liked hearing that. And that's something I want to see whenever the eye dies down and the cut is fully healed.
Well, why wouldn't he? I mean, there's nothing to gain for him fighting like Lewis Ritson. He's gonna there'll be money for old rope unless he wants an easy payday. But he doesn't seem like that type of fighter. He hasn't done it the soft way. He's done it the hard way. Coming through now, winning the Super Series, unifying the title. And at 140, his resume is up there with any recent 140 pounders, with Baranchik, Postel, and now Prograis on it. I mean, I knew Prograis wasn't going to come and lie down. I said that last week. I knew he wasn't going to just come and give it up. There were going to be moments where Taylor had to overcome it. Prograis was bossing the early stages of the fight. Thought he did really well in the pocket, stood in front of Taylor for a lot of the time, and Taylor couldn't hit him. And there was I think it was like third or fourth round where Taylor kind of like triple, quadruple up with the jab just to kind of put something on him. He was being really, really slippery. Reminded me even, I don't want to pay him too high of a compliment, but reminded me of Andre Ward a little bit, where he's right there in front of the guy, but he's still slipping, ducking, and just making it awkward. And it looked like he was bossing proceedings. And then kind of around the like 5th, 6th round, Taylor started to go to the body, and he really started to work the body, and some of those body shots sucked the life out of Prograis and allowed Taylor to get a foothold in the fight. Taylor's at his best when he's right on top of you. So if you're trying to, like, Prograis then, when he took the body shots, didn't seem to have the strength to keep him off him, and Taylor was right there in front of him, using his weight, pushing in on him, digging to the body and getting the better of the stuff on the inside. But you got to give Prograis as well a lot of massive credit. For his last 2 rounds, he really came and had a go. He wasn't wanting to give up his title, and was turning the tide to look a little bit on Josh in the last round. So I had him win around 115, 113. I think that's about right. A lot of people were upset at the draw. Actually, a lot of Americans, which surprised me, were upset at the draw. They thought they had Taylor a lot clearer. So that was interesting. But the 117, 111, I didn't see that in a million years. But that's always the way, isn't it? But I thought Taylor's absolutely covered himself with glory in this tournament. He's been brilliant. He's been brilliant since he won the world title, and he was brilliant in the run up to that. And I don't think he's going to hang around the 40 for too much longer. So I mean, all the talk today is, and Andy called this last week saying he'd be British Fighter of the Year, but all the talk today is that he's in the top 10 pound for pound now. And that's not just UK fight fans saying it. That's a lot of Americans saying it as well. So the hype behind him is building, deservedly so. It's good to see a guy like that with a really solid record getting some well-deserved camera time and well-deserved limelight. So I'd love to see the Ramirez fight next. I'm sure that's the fight he wants to. I don't know if he's going to hang around at 40 for too much longer. I think he's going to end up at 47, and who knows what fights we could see then. So, congratulations to Josh Taylor, brilliant performance, and the result hoping for here on the pod, I guess. We're neutral-ish, but it's hard not to like Josh Taylor. And his nasty side came through again there last night a little bit. I noticed a lot of people commenting about his hitting after the bell, which he hit. I think he hit Prograis 3 or 4 times after the last bell, just for good measure. So that was good. Definitely shows he has that mean streak to him, and you're not going to take anything off him. So big credit to Taylor.
Absolutely big credit to Taylor. Richard Swig was in touch over on Facebook.com. He said Taylor was glorious. This was everything that I thought he was capable of when he beat Dave Ryan all those years ago. He is magnificent. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Few bodies around. I haven't seen Jason Chukwu yet, actually. Yeah, maybe he fell asleep. CJ, PJ, 3000
He's
in there.
He's pure raging, by the way. He picked Prograis last. Remember he was giving all the shit in the chat and stuff. It was a wanker.
Gabe, let's bring you in actually on a point that Rob Kelly made there. Swaggy Taggy asked us over on patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. Guys, particularly to you, Gabe. I'm sure you're all as glad as I am with Taylor being the new unified champion. There's been a lot of mention that Taylor's last 4 opponents, including Prograis, have a combined record of 94-1, with that one defeat coming at the hands of Crawford. With that in mind, Gabe, does Josh Taylor deserve pound-for-pound recognition?
Is Gabe even on this call?
Yeah, Gabe might not even be on.
It says 4 out of 5. Maybe Gabe is the number 5 that's not here. I don't see him circling at the top there. We'll give that question to you, Smido. Why not? You're a pound-for-pound expert. You can handle that.
No, I am not. No, I am. Probably yes. I mean, 16 fights is loosely can be described as a free agent almost, promotionally. So yeah, I mean, he's got the resume holds up definitely, and even going back to, I was watching it with my mate last night, and he said, I remember one of my worst bets ever was he backed to Hara Davis, because that was, betting wise, was basically a coin toss, and obviously Taylor's come through with that with flying colours and a long way since. Former world champions have been beaten. He's been campaigned well, and the culmination of it was last night. Josh Taylor, for me, as a born again casual, is going to really be the highlight of my 2019. I've watched both of his fights live, and I've thoroughly enjoyed both of them. I think the first disappointment last night was that we didn't get I know it's a trivial point, we didn't get the World Boxing Super Series entrance. What have become quite iconic to that tournament. I thought that was a shame. Again, I know it's not got nothing to do with the main fight, but it's just that it felt like that Calla and the boys have put a lot of hard work in. They've made some mistakes along the way in this tournament and others that they've hosted, and yeah, it's kind of the most high-profile final they've had. And I know Usyk and Gassiev was bloody good, but the most high-profile in terms of viewers, attendance, location, and it kind of got hijacked a little bit and kind of forgotten. So I thought that might be a little bit of a disappointment for them. It was a good job. The main event was decent. I've never been more disappointed with a pay-per-view, and I know I'm the mug because I go off with my mate and I often buy him and sit and watch. But I know we'll come on to it. That undercard last night was
crying like a little bitch.
I'm the mug because I knew it was crap beforehand, and it turned out to be crap. So there's no surprises. But yeah, I'm just I was massively grateful, really, that the main event lived up to its billing. I admit I've not seen much of Prograis before. Big fan of him now. I can mark myself down as a fan of him personally. With personality wise, he's been over here 2 or 3 weeks. He's done some good media stuff. He was very good after the fight. Very humble after the fight. Fair play to his comments and put in a great performance. Started brilliantly, Prograis. I thought his movement, his body, his head and body movement from the waist a lot of the time, I thought was sensational to start with. To be honest, it meant as the shorter guy, he could stay in the pocket, attempt to avoid punches, and get off some good work himself. And there's an argument he won maybe 4 of the first 5 or 6 rounds. So it was a great start from him, but obviously. That energy that he was burning, it caught up with him later in the fight. So, I mean, even by the middle of round 4, Taylor was already at the stage where he needed to do something different to kind of stamp his authority on the fight. And it was interesting to see that, and obviously he did so. I mean, I thought that he virtually swept 6 through to 10. I think the 9th round Prograis landed, it was a bit closer in the 9th. Prograis landed a really good left hand, if I remember rightly, up to the top, and that could have swung the round 9. But yeah, there's an argument Taylor won those 5 rounds on the spin. And I thought, just going back a little bit, I thought early on that the crowd and the commentators were reacting to Taylor. Whenever he was landing, even though they were glancing blows early on, I think Prograis was doing really well to stay out of the way. But I think by the 6th and the 7th, Taylor was making his size pay and his strength pay, and he was really coming on then. As Prograis slowed down, the bigger man in Taylor really was taking over the fight, particularly when there was. When it became a medium range fight around round 6 to 7 onwards, that's when Taylor took over for me. And I thought really going into the 10th, going into the 11th, like I say, you can make an argument for Taylor sweeping the last 5 rounds. Prograis to do well in the 11th and win in most people's eyes, the 12th, I thought was like a fantastic effort from Prograis. He's clearly done his best work. He'd clearly burnt most of his petrol by then. He was a bit busted up, as was Taylor. And to come and, make an argument for winning the 11th and 12th, I thought was a fantastic effort from Prograis. Loosely scoring, because I hardly ever score, but I do talk through it when I watch it with me, mate. We talk through it at the end of the round. I loosely had it as a draw. I wouldn't have called robbery either way if it was, 1-1-5 either way. But to have that 1-1-7 card that I think gave Josh Taylor 9 rounds and Prograis 3 rounds and a share of 1, I thought that was obviously a bit extreme, but yeah, it was just good to see a good quality fight, really high class fight, where the strategies was changing throughout, and they was having to think on the feet and show different angles and change as they go on. I thought it was a fantastic fight. Really enjoyed it. Not normally one for calling out for rematches. They went over the top with calling out for rematches last week on Sky, but I would no problem see that again. And I can see Prograis coming over here again. I can see that. But the thing with Taylor, to talk about Ramirez straight away and another top level fights like that, because he is virtually a free agent in my eyes in terms of promotion, they're all the options to him. If he was signed to Matchroom, which he might be in the future, but if he was signed to Matchroom, they'll be pushing him towards this bloody Ritson fight, and it's pointless, if you ask me. Absolutely pointless. So yeah, long may it continue. Get him in unifications, and then sooner or later he's going to have to move up because he's just too big for 140 at the moment. But yeah, top quality fight, and really enjoyed it.
Andy, given the respective injuries sustained during the fight, added to the amount of body shots that were going in, especially from Prograis early on, Taylor as the fight went on, credit to both men for coming in absolutely tip-top shape. It was like an old-school battle fitness-wise, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they were really in tip-top shape. I was listening to Mike Costello on podcast, BBC 5 Live. Obviously, there was a bit of boiling down and stuff like that. Prograis, I think he missed the weight slightly by a few inches, and that it's possibly because he's just taking like the warm weather back home and stuff like that. It's been pissing rain over here the last few weeks, and it's been getting kind of cold and that. But no, it was in absolutely fantastic shape. It's what you expect anyway, especially when the guys are banging their prime and that. So yeah, as it says, fantastic condition and fantastic fight. So. As for the injury and that, I mean, again, that swelling's going to be a few weeks now, obviously, and that. For me, I didn't want to see the Lewis Ritson fight. That is a wasted training camp for unless it's a hell of a lot of money. I mean, you were talking last week and that Eddie might throw some money at it and stuff. If he does, then he'd be an idiot not to take it, I suppose. But to me, if he's going to go for all the belts and that, then Prograis, I think maybe Aram can maybe make him a better offer. Who knows? But we'll wait and see.
I agree, Andy. I think it's a money fight only, and like you say, wasted training camp. We don't normally think in that manner, but Taylor's the time is ticking for his career at 140, and like you say, it would be a wasted training camp. But if there's a load of money in it, then fair enough. But Fast Class talking, it literally said yesterday 60,000 at St James's Park. Come on, man.
He's talking about Fitzgerald at Deepdale and stuff like that as well. But I'll just say this. I mean, I think last night is one thing that the winner of that fight last night, obviously, it's Taylor. That they've come out of that fight with a lot of credit. The American press are really talking about him, as Rob says, they're talking about him being pound for pound and all that sort of stuff now. So that's when you get the Yanks talking, especially like respected publications and stuff like that, people tend to take notice, really.
Yeah, it's always good to hear the view from across the pond. There's only one man's opinion I count when it comes to American boxing. That's Dave the Hater Lowback. He's not with us, unfortunately, but Gabe Lewis is. Gabe, tell me your vantage point. What did you think of Taylor Prograis last night? Worthy winner? How did you score it?
Terrific fight.
That's something for a Wellington fucker.
I know I'm going to get Steve for that later. I got to come up with something good. Fucking cunt.
There's some venom behind it.
You don't care to hear. I know a lot of fans are
crying like a little bitch.
So I would say that it was a tremendous fight. It was really a fun fight, and it didn't quite go like I expected it to. Whenever we were talking about this last week, I said that I thought Josh Taylor was going to be too slick for Regis Prograis, and he was slicker in spots. But the real defining point of the fight was he's able to fight inside. He can fight inside, and Regis Prograis, I think if you watch the fight, early on was kind of unsure of himself on the inside, and I think he learned a lot last night if he's willing to kind of keep that lesson in his head. But I think you could see as the fight progressed, he seemed to be a little bit more effective inside, and then to really start performing better inside. So, as far as the slickness goes, I don't think that was quite where I thought it would be. I thought Josh Taylor would be able to avoid a little bit more punches and to really be able to put an offensive output on to Regis Prograis. It didn't end up quite like that. But I think like I said, the plain and simple thing that I saw was Josh Taylor was effective inside, Regis Prograis was not. And it's really kind of an underrated, underused skill for a lot of fighters, even into their mid and late careers. And you've got a guy like Josh Taylor with 16, 17 professional fights now, and he's able to do it well and make it well enough to win the fight. A fight that was fairly close. I think there was one scorecard there. I don't remember. I didn't catch the scorecards being read. I just saw it posted after the fact, but there was one card. I can't recall which one it was. I thought it was pretty wide. I don't think it was a draw. I thought I had Josh Taylor up pretty clear by 2 rounds. And like I said, overall, I thought it was a really fun fight. And then, of course, we got to see the big lump Pricey knocked out. Kind of corner stoppage. But I thought that was also good, too. So I thought it was overall, that was the most exciting part for me of the whole weekend. And I think it was worth the view.
Andy, I want to get onto the undercard just before we do so. Kali Sauerland, he's always been a bit of a fun character, hasn't he? But he's starting to look like a bit of a car crash now. I'm concerned about his well-being, particularly his nostrils.
Yeah, that little clip was brilliant. It was so good.
Oh, well, man, I need to go back actually, but he's aged considerably over the last 5 years now. I mean, obviously he's high profile at the minute, making all the big deals, trying to keep the boxing super series alive and stuff. But he's hitting the gym kind of heavy in that as well. I know he's into the kind of like the free weights, not a sort of tough kind of like heavy iron and that. So maybe there's a wee bit kind of mixture with the powder, if you know what I mean. Maybe the ABCs.
Right. Mixing things up a bit.
Yeah, just to kind of get a bit jacked, you know. But nah, he's looking a bit tired these days and stuff, a bit weary.
You're not weary, Andy. I know you're dying to get stuck into this undercard. Derek Chisora, 4th round knockout of David Price of sorts. Ricky Burns, I thought Lee Selby was a winner by a good couple of points over him. Ivan Garbu got knocked out by Lawrence Okoli, a Coley and stinker shocker. And a shout out to Conor Benn as well. I know we slag him off, but the kid's definitely improving, seems like a nice lad. And I wasn't expecting him to get rid of Steve Jamoy quite as easily as he did. So I'm going to give Conor Benn a pat on the back, Andy.
I caught that fight. I was out last night, but by the time I got in, I caught that at the 3rd round. So yeah, I was kind of surprised myself that he kind of got the stoppage. And it was a heavy ending, so fair play to him for that. Okoli, horrible to watch, man. I agree with what you said last night, Steve. It'll be interesting. I think it was you who said that. It'll be interesting to see what American officials would take to his style.
Yeah.
You know, they wouldn't put up with that shit for much longer. But then again, they put up with Hopkins and Ward all them years and that as well. So you never know. You get the right ref, you never know. But yeah, it was a good ending, I suppose, against a durable opponent. Selby, Burns, suppose Burns is at that level now, isn't he? I think he should step down to kind of. But I mean, he's going to keep fighting. I've said that for years. I don't know if he's legit when he said it, but he always maintained that he wants to have 100 pro fights. So what is he up to now? That must be 50. Early 50s anyway. It might step down to British level, Commonwealth level and stuff like that, but it's just not active enough for that. So I don't know if he wants to, but I just think he's got to accept now that he's not going to go any further at this point, and should maybe just accept that he's going to, just fight fodder, journeyman and stuff like that. Just kind of keep the kind of, a wee payday here and there and stuff like that. I mean, he's been a good servant to the game. Absolutely no question about it. Made absolute maximum with the talent that he's got. Absolutely grafted his nuts off. But Selby probably just been a fresher man or something as well.
You've got to admire Burns, haven't you? I mean, he keeps himself in great shape. He's come up and down the levels. I mean, you know, it would have been easy to make an argument for him because he has had some excellent highs, and like you say, Andy, he's got every ounce of talent out of himself, and now he's back down at, I mean, British level's a bit harsh, but you know, it's European at best. You know, and like I say, you've got to admire that. But he spoke about having 100 fights, didn't he? Not too long. I know he's had over 50 now, but I remember the days when he used to speak about having 100 fights, and I don't know. And I mean, without going too much into it, he probably needs the money. So I can't see him calling it a day. But last night, it just looked to me, and I know they was calling it on the commentary. Macklin was saying, no, his 36-year-old legs, blah blah blah. But when he was throwing his hooks, he was going with the lead left hook quite a lot, and it just looked very laboured, and his brain thought it was happening quicker than it was, you know, and the signs really of an old fighter, but it just looked really laboured, and Selby found it easy just to, you know, read it and move around him and pepper him with a few shots. It's a bit of a shame, really. It's a bit of a shame, but I think he'll keep going, Burns, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's maybe more in the tank for old Ricky. Tell us about the undercard then, Rob, from your point of view, starting with Big Del Boy getting a win over old Pricey.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking arsehole.
Oh, I meant to mention that, by the way. Sorry, Steve. Sorry, okay, Robin, you go, mate, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I don't know if I'm misreading it in that, but there was clearly something wrong with Price last time. I mean, the way they jacked that in, you know, was it the 4th round? I think it was. Anyway, whatever round it was and stuff, he was hurt, you know, the round before it. You know, you can give him a chance in that next round. You know, the next shot he took, you know, they keep bigging him up and stuff. You know, he's going to get seriously hurt. That should be it. Okay, I know what I'm saying about Burns and stuff like that, but Burns isn't getting smacked about and getting knocked out and stuff like that. Burns is kind of like remaining competitive, but he's not taking a lot of punishment. You know, Price is getting like banged about, badly hurt, wobble, sometimes knocked out, spark out. It's got to be enough. And these are heavyweights the guys are fighting. Well,
Thing is though, right, I mean, they're throwing him in and everyone seems to be cool with this, like, we'll stick Big Pricey in, you know, he hasn't had much, he's done a bit of training, he hasn't had much notice, but we'll throw him in, give him 4 rounds or whatever, and then everyone's happy to pull him out. Didn't he get paid £500,000 or something last night? I mean, is nobody questioning this? I mean, he's money for old rope, man.
Well, if he did, then fair play to him and stuff, but I hope he enjoys it. Because at some point that's not going to come in any longer and stuff, and the punishment you take, is it going to be worth it? I mean, I think someone asked me last night and stuff was about, you know, how does he keep getting these fights and that? Well, these fights keep happening because they keep passing brain scans, and unless the brain scan comes back something faulty on it, or there's an issue with it, they're going to get licensed. But it's the effect, as Smitho mentioned the last couple of weeks and that as well, what happens on the back end. And of course he's been knocked out of drug cheats and that as well, is what we've already mentioned. So he could end up having problems, you know, later on in life. So he's going to need that £500,000 to kind of, you know, maybe pay for, I don't know, medicine, care, you know.
Go on, Rob.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Like, I think it's time to call it a day for Big Pricey. It's time, and I'd agree with you, it's time to stop wheeling him out. I mean, when he was a prospect, everybody had these question marks about his vulnerabilities. There was the footage of him beating Fury as an amateur, but getting dropped late in the fight with it, seemed like as an amateur with the head guard on, just flattened, like. And it's come through as a pro. Obviously, the 2 fights against Thompson, drug cheat, Tepper, drug cheat. So I think that had a big factor in it as well, because everyone was like, well, look, you got to discount those, they're not legitimate wins because the guys were doping. So there was an argument presented that if he's fighting somebody that's not on the juice, then his chin is not that bad or whatever. It's not even his chin, it's his ear. Anytime he gets hit on the ear, he's got a glass ear, Pricey. Anytime he gets hit around the kind of temple or the ear, he seems completely discombobulated and his fucking legs disobey him. And yeah, maybe I thought the stoppage was a bit premature as well, but I suppose we have the flip side in the last few months, and maybe the corner are thinking, like, we don't want to be fucking part of this. Like, Pricey hasn't got a hope of winning this fight, like, unless he pulls something out. And it goes to show you how bad Dave Allen is as well, by the way, who's complaining that people are talking about what he's earning or whatever, even though he puts it out there himself. It
was the inevitable.
He cruised against Dave Allen, And that's why people thought, like, I even, like, to be honest with you, my prediction last week wasn't that serious because Steve was asking me the question. I wasn't even really listening, but I was kind of calling it on the spot. But I thought, like, he'd be able to kind of trouble Chisora, and the punch might be a factor. And he did stun him at one stage with an uppercut, but he kind of threw that uppercut when he was under fire himself and caught Chisora coming in, and that was his only hope. And maybe the corner were like, fuck this, like, you know what I mean, there's just get him out of there, like, before he gets absolutely sparkled again, because he looked in trouble. I thought he looked in trouble the way he got up. I think his balance was completely gone, and another shot probably would have flatlined him. So, you know, it looked premature, but you got to think about the beatings he's been taking and the knockouts he's been suffering all the time. And it's just like, you know, 7 times now he's lost by KO. 7 times, that's 7 knockouts. Like, he's never lost on points. He's always been stopped. So I think it might be time for the people around him to say, look, man, you're after making some good money here, like over $1 million, over 2 million, probably 3 million in purses. Let's say it off into the sunset. Still be in the sport if he wants to go be a trainer, do whatever the fuck, like, if that. But I don't think we should be seeing Pricey out against anyone, because Chisora is not. I don't give a fuck what kind
Chisora's
of
way
patch he's
past
on.
his best.
Chisora, they're talking about Usyk for or fucking an eliminator for a world title now.
David
Chisora.
Hayes saying that. He's high in that percentage.
No way will he fight Usyk. No. David Hayes milking Chisora.
So whatever, Parker, any of those guys, like, I mean, fuck me, could you see David Price versus Parker down the road? Probably, like, on Sky. Wouldn't rule it out. There seem to be 2 kind of guys that they don't mind bringing out, throw them on a card against each other down the line. Redemption, one last chance for Pricey. Do you know, you could see it, like, so I think it's time common sense came into it now, and they knocked the head on Pricey's career. But bring back the big suit, maybe for his last appearance.
Pricey's got the power though, Smido. Pricey's got the power, man. If he lands that right hand, it could be lights out. That's getting him paydays.
That's the biggest myth in boxing, by the way.
I think he has or did have the power, but because he is terrified of committing to any shots, he did not fight for 1 second last night in a manner that would give him the best chance of winning the fight. Every time there was a break in the action, or at the start of the round, or when the ref broke him, Chisora was coming forward and Pricey was going backwards. David Price is 6'7", and should not have his back against the ropes at all. He was fighting like a 6'1" kind of guy, because his confidence mentally is obviously absolutely shot. He's been propping up Sky pay-per-views left, right, and centre over the last couple of years. He's not even directly promoted by Matchroom. Neither was anyone on the main event. Neither is Lee Selby, and Ricky Burns is a Matchroom fighter, but he's not really outright promoted by them, getting him on Sky's on Soccer AM and the like. So, but Price it's no good. It's no good. But because he's a big fella, he is casual pay-per-view fodder. Because they can say, oh well, if he hits you, you go in, and if he gets it, he's going. It was just, I mean, they've had last night, right? We've got cheap support on the pay-per-view for £20, and they've had 15 losses between them. Chisora's way past his best. He was the heaviest, I think, ever his weighing on Friday in his career, or for a number of years. He was, Chisora was losing every round versus Takam until he thrown that wonder punch, and that's like flung him now into the limelight. He's 36-year-old. I mean, I thought he was kind of, he feels like Chisora's older than that. He's been around that long, and he's, lost. I think he's lost five or six fights himself. It was just poor. It was just poor. It was very disappointing. But I think they could roll out Price again. I mean, I've heard it all before. Like they say, he's one win away from being right in the mix. We've heard that before. We've heard that many times before. I mean, Rob makes a good point though about it shows how shit Dave Allen is. Fuck me. But Chisora, no chance Chisora fights Usyk. I just can't see it. There's no gain in that for Usyk. All the vibes are saying that Usyk is just going to go down that WBO mandatory or whatever he is, champion moving up, whatever rule they have. He's just going to pursue that. I'm sure of it. There's no point in him fighting Derek Chisora, none at all.
Chisora's a puncher now, Smido. Do you think he's on the slim fast?
Chisora is not a puncher. He's being milked by David Hay. He's being milked, and it's honestly, I don't normally care, but it's poor to see, because David
How does that
Hay.
happen exactly?
Well, David Hay basically does the negotiations on behalf of Derek Chisora and asks Eddie for this amount of money and creams 10% of it or whatever.
I hope you fucking die.
And he just gives him a bit of a big up on social media, and they have the picture taken. I think it's shocking. I think it's so like calculated and, well, as Hay was throughout his career, really deliberate, calculated, against the grain. I mean, could be positives if you're a David Hay fan, but I've grown to hate the man over the years.
Yep, he's been conning the British public for years, as Rapping Rob Kelly says. Just before we bring you in, Andy, Kanate's Lamb, not sure if he got a win on Saturday night against Walter, caught on Dockwet or not. I'm going to be trying to find out that as the show proceeds. Francesco Patera did defend his European title against Domenico Valentino. Islam did get the win, you believe?
He did, mate. It was apparently, well, I've only just seen the box and seen a headline article. Apparently he won, but it was apparent struggle, apparently. So he's up at middleweight now, apparently.
Yeah, I think he's too small for that, you know.
Yeah, he was a 154 fighter, so I don't know what the fuck's doing about there,
What about Soto? You saw that over the weekend?
Yeah, the light flyweight title fight, that was a good wee card. Well, the cards as such, and that Elwin Soto is WBO light flyweight champion. He beat Angel Acosta. I think he stopped him late in that fight, actually. Anyway, he beat Edward Heno. Really kind of close, competitive, wee scrap in that. So that division's, I think I mentioned it 2 weeks ago, and that it's really is hotting up. You know, there's a lot of fighters kicking around about the top 30. I'm not kidding you. You know, if you look at some of the records now, they're like 20-2, 16-0, maybe 14-0 with 5 draws, and you'll have guys like with 22 wins and 8 defeats now who have been champions and are now back with. So it's heating up actually, that wee division. So we'll keep an eye on. So it's I tweeted it out last night, that fight as well. The other one as well, I suppose I'll just mention briefly, Steve. Many often TBE 53-0 baby. Beat some South African boy, again on points. Had the guy down in the 7th round. So the train rolls on. For Ty Legend, can't he wait for him to kind of get his due on the ballot slip? Like he's going to be first ballot Hall of Famer, I think. Not.
Thanks, Andy. Just bringing in our first guest of the evening. Delighted to welcome Steve Goodwin on the call. How are you, Steve?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Thanks for taking our call. We've just been talking about Josh Taylor against Regis Prograis there. Do you want to give us your thoughts on the fight? I'm assuming you saw it.
I thought it was a brilliant fight. I thought it highlighted the best and the worst things in boxing. I thought the fight itself was absolutely amazing and a brilliant spectacle. But the 117, 112 cards highlighted all that's bad in boxing. They scored it 8-3. To say to anybody knows the thing about boxing would know that Prograis won more than 3 rounds, but it happens all too often in boxing rings, especially in Britain lately. You would never have got a similar result given by a referee if it had been the other way around. And, I think it does damage for boxing scores like that.
Derek Chisora was obviously in action on the undercard, defeating David Price. You managed Derek at one point, didn't you, before he hooked up with David Hay?
I managed him up until I managed him up until the Takam fight when he knocked Takam out. So I managed him through the comeback period, the period where he resurrected his career. So I managed him to that point, and I thought he boxed as well as he needed to last night against a boxer really that wins over Little Allen and Cash Ali didn't justify a fight of that magnitude. And the way that the fight happened was the way that I thought it would. I mean, Price has only 4 rounds at a high level, and he always doesn't get through 4 or 5 rounds, does he? So it was just what I expected. Derek will always beat people like that, where Derek will struggle against the movers, and David Price was never going to give him any trouble.
Do you think, Steve, it's maybe time to take a look at someone like David Price, an extra look, and say, you're taking a few here, losing a lot by knockout?
Well, there's no way he should have. There's no way David Price should be fighting again. Full stop. There's nobody. You've got to put money aside in boxing. I know many people do. I looked after a fighter called Waddy Camacho, and he retired one fight after I wanted him to, but we made an agreement a formal agreement that after his last fight he would retire. So, somebody close to him who cares about him should have done the same thing. he shouldn't be fighting, and they should make sure he doesn't.
Steve, just for the guys who are listening don't know about you, tell us about your various roles in boxing. You're a promoter, but prominently a manager, really.
Yeah, I mean, I started off 9 years ago as a promoter. Started off promoting, then really, my skill set really is more geared towards the management side. I look after just around about the 100 boxer mark. I've had champions at 34 champions, I think it is, from Southern Area, English, Commonwealth, British, WBA International, WBO International. So I've managed fighters at various levels, and that's really where my skill set is. I mean, I promote, but so do my son and daughter promote as well. But the management is where, to a certain extent, you can change the lives of boxers really on the management side.
Steve, tell me about Florian Marco. You were guiding his career really well. He seems to have made a promotional switch now. What's happened?
Right, so I'm going to give you a lot. I knew you'd ask me this, so I thought I'd give you sort of a version as to what really happens in boxing management that people don't realise. So, about 3 weeks ago, I had a meeting with Florian, and I want to say firstly, he's a really nice guy,
yeah,
and I wish him all the best going forward. I had a meeting with him 3 weeks ago, and he said to me in this meeting, you're the best manager that is in the business. Nobody could do what you do. You've done everything I've asked of you and more. Everything you're looking at going forward is perfect. You'll be with me for the rest of my career. I go off to Las Vegas for a week's holiday, and I come back, and the situation just basically changed, and he felt that wasn't the case anymore, and the contract that I had with him was expiring, and he didn't want to renew it. But the thing is, in boxing, it's not a damnation on boxers, because boxers themselves, they fight. They have to, it's a hard job for them. They have a hell of a lot of things to do. But if you just talk about life in general, you have a situation where, even in life, I'm a financial advisor and I look after 30 odd millions of clients' assets. I've been married 30 years, I've got 2 children. We develop a world of ethics and looking after people and doing the right thing. We believe that you tell people only the truth, you don't lie, you make sure that if you promise something, you deliver it. If you say to somebody, I'm going to do it, you do it. And I've done that in boxing forever and ever and ever. But in the boxing world, unlike in many other things, no matter sometimes how good you are at what you do, no matter what you do, if you don't promise things, if you don't make false promises, or you don't turn around to people and promise somebody the world, it doesn't work well for you. What we endeavour to do is to ensure that if we do promise something, then we actually deliver it, and we won't make a promise based on hope, and that's very, very important for us going forward, and that's the way we'll stay. But sometimes you may lose a boxer because of that, but that's just one of those things.
Absolutely. I know you're a guy who works with a great deal of integrity, but sometimes when you're building up a boxer, is it hard not to sort of think in the back of your mind, there's a chance this guy could go off somewhere, I might be doing this for nothing, or, is it difficult?
Yeah, and that's what's happened. To be honest, that's the way I feel now. I came into boxing and believing that by bringing a whole new series of ethics and decency that you get rewarded for that. It doesn't really happen. Yeah. And I remember Dean Powell. I don't remember Dean Powell, but Dean was one of the, he worked for Frank Warren for many, many years.
Oh, yeah.
And Dean rang me up 3 days before he died. And I'll always remember this call. It was 9:30 on a Sunday morning. And he said to me, Steve, I want to tell you you're a wonderful person. You've got a great family. He said, but you're too nice for boxing. He said, you're going to get shit on so often. He said, my advice to you is to shit on people before they shit on you. And I thought, God, that's quite sort of thing to say. And I thought, but whilst I could never do it, I actually now understand it. That because in this sport, you can do the most amazing things for people, but it's never going to be enough sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that about Floyd, I'm saying that generally across boxing. If you look at, Chisora was, for example, somebody who used to come and beg me to manage him when I didn't want to do it. And once I got him back to, I was in the position of going to start a pay-per-view negotiation for him, because it was over. And without me, he wouldn't have got where he was getting. It's just one of those things you have to accept in this business. I think, to a certain extent, it's why not a lot of people that are very ethical stay in the business that long. It's just how it is, because you get disillusioned by it.
Just to remind our listeners, we've got Steve Goodwin on the call talking about the dirty side of boxing at Stephen G. Goodwin over on Twitter, also goodwinboxing.co.uk. Let's lighten things up a bit then. Big show coming up on November the 30th in the York Hall. November Nightmare. There's some really evenly matched fights on that card. Give us the lowdown on some of the matchups we should be looking out for.
I mean, Josh is promoting his work really well at this show. So we've got 3 English title fights. Firstly, we've got Linus Udofia, who's somebody that I've managed, and he's been turning it around from what I just said. He's been as loyal as you could possibly get. He's just renewed his contract. He's been brilliant to work with.
Yeah.
And he's now finally got his English title shot. He takes on Tyler Denny, so it's a great fight. But hopefully we've got a home advantage for Linus. Curtis Felix, who's also just re-signed. So these are 2 guys that have finished their 3 years and re-signed again, but the majority do. Curtis Felix has got his English title fight. He takes on Eko Esserman. That's a really tough fight for Curtis on paper, but he's 30 years of age, he's got home advantage. We're going to do everything we can to help him, obviously, and that's just a brilliant fight. Yusuf Kamari takes on Liam Dillon for the English super featherweight title. That, again, is just a brilliant fight. And, people are sort of saying it could be one of the fights of the year. Both of them undefeated. We got Ryan Walker-Tate, who's 10-1, taking on Peter Merger, undefeated, for the Southern Area Super Bantamweight title. And then we've got a couple of decent little scraps, 6 rounds. We've got all positive records. Justin Menzie, he takes on Jelani Camiro, former Southern Area champion, and Daryl Church takes on Dominic Felix. Dominic's lost 1 in 4. Daryl's won, I think it's 7-2. So, some really good fights on the undercard. And to be honest, it's probably the strongest card we've ever put together with, literally 5 of those fights. You'd have to say 50-50, so it's brilliant.
Absolutely. So how tough is it to make the numbers work on these type of small hall shows?
Very difficult. This is why it's so hard. You don't do boxing. Well, I don't do boxing for money. I mean, Josh does it. He's promoting the show. He does it because he loves it as well, and he's got a passion for it. But it's very hard to make numbers up without TV. Really difficult. And you either end up doing shows where there's 10 fights, but you know where the winners are, but then that's pretty crappy to watch, isn't it? Or you try and put these shows together where you've got at least, 1 or 2 or 3 really decent fights. In this show we've got 6. But, they're very, very hard to put together. But the rewards on the night are fantastic. And for people like Linus Udofia, Curtis Felix, Liam Dillon and Yusuf Kamari, a win here propels them that step closer to a TV deal. Because for a boxer fighting on a small hall, the ultimate goal is to move from the basic ticket selling aspect to getting onto TV platforms.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't realise is even when you sign a boxer to a TV platform, they're always being demanded, you've got to be putting bums on seats. TV promoters aren't interested in somebody who sells fight tickets. So you've got to deliver both these fighters. You've got to deliver a following and you've got to deliver the skill set. And then you've got a chance of breaking through.
Final couple of quick ones for you, Steve, and we do thank you for your time. The guys in the chat here are asking you a question you've probably heard before. What about streaming these things on Facebook? Is it worthwhile or what?
What's the point? If you look at it from a business aspect, if you stream for free, what are you getting? You're not going to get enough views to generate money from advertisers, but you're giving away the content for free, which means that boxers will lose on ticket sales, promoters will lose on ticket sales. It doesn't actually financially work. It just means that everybody, maybe the promoter might lose money, the boxer will earn less money. It just doesn't make any sense. We need to encourage people to come out to these shows and support them. And 30th of November, for example, is a show where people should come out and buy a ticket. So my attitude to that is if they're not prepared to buy a ticket, they shouldn't be able to watch it.
Last two on a wider scale, Joshua Ruiz 2 happening in Saudi Arabia. Does Joshua get revenge, or is it the same again for Ruiz?
Well, normally, most immediate rematches end the same way, don't they? So, if you look historically, I think it's about 85% of immediate rematches end up the same result as the first match. Joshua is obviously a favourite to win that, and I think if there were good reasons for Joshua's loss, then maybe he'll come back and turn it around. But I think you'd need to know exactly the inside tack on what happened with Joshua the first time. If he was just beaten, if there was nothing wrong with him and he was beaten because Ruiz was the better man, I would expect the same result.
We saw Conor Benn in action last night, but what do you think about Nigel Benn's return to the ring?
Shocking. Shouldn't happen. Nobody can say at 55 years of age, no man should be out there taking heavy punches. Perhaps, and I hope it's possible that this is basically a fight that's been prearranged between the two fighters and nobody's going to get hurt. And I would hope that that's possibly the case.
Hopefully so. At Stephen G. Goodwin over on Twitter, everybody. Also goodwinboxing.co.uk. Best of luck with the show on November the 30th. And thanks for giving up your time and speaking so honestly.
And thanks very much for asking us to be on this. Very much appreciated.
Cheers, Steve. All the best now.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Steve Goodwin there, one of boxing's good guys, very much like Steve Wood, who comes on as well, Carl Greaves, all those guys. Why do they bother, you might ask yourself? Why do we bother rapping Rob Kelly? That's the question. Did you bother seeing Shakur Stevenson over the weekend, getting revenge for his beef, for his bird? Did he go home to Joette Gonzalez's sister? That's the question.
Yeah, I bet she was tossing in a salad last night, by the way.
Jesus Christ.
Going through the cheese grater.
You dirty fucks.
Yeah, it's a tough one on
golden showers all round there.
Shows it's a tough one on him, isn't it? Like, 'cause he's got the sister, nobody's talking to him, but then he just took the L to him. I think Shakur Stevenson was expected to win a world title. He's looked good so far. He's certainly progressed since he turned pro. Maybe he's more suited to the pro style than the amateur style. And I try my best to leave fighters' personalities out of it when I'm rating him as a fighter. So I do think he's a right good little fighter. And I think he'll improve. But that shit that he did at the gas station, like, he can't be doing that. Like, you know what I mean?
He's a wanker, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Like, he's just a tough.
That little grin that he does in the corner.
He's right. Especially when you see him doing that, like, it was just. But I do think he's fragile mentally. I said this before a couple of times. I saw a couple of times with his Twitter meltdowns when he got into Mayweather's daughter one time. Was saying all kinds of unsavory stuff, but I do think you could definitely get into him, into his head, and try and win a mental battle with him. I think he showed that at the gas station. Like, he's not good at controlling it. Like, so I think with the right opponent he could come unstuck. Who that right opponent is out there now, I don't know. I'd expect Shakur Stevenson to have a big 2020. Yeah, but not the most likeable guy, to be honest with you.
No, but then again, the guys
nice guys finish last, don't they? So
we know all about that, Rob.
Yeah, exactly. No room for nice guys. So he is a very good fighter.
No room for nice guys. There is room for hardcore boxing fans on the call, though. One as such has joined us now, Danny Young. Danny, you were there last night, Prograis against Taylor. What was the atmosphere like? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, good, Steve. Can you hear me all right?
Certainly can, sir.
Good man. Yeah, no. Well, main event, obviously, as you well know, that it came alight. But yeah, atmosphere was pretty decent. I had a few dickheads sitting in and around me, but hey. Surprisingly enough, they were English and not Scottish. So, but yeah, no, it was. I enjoyed myself anyway.
What about your vantage point? What did you see from how far back you were? Were you pretty close to the ring? How did you analyse the fight?
So yeah, my seat was just obviously halfway down the main stretch on where they did the ring walk. So yeah, fairly close. had a good eye on the action, and I spent most of the night stood up watching it, which was pretty good as well. So I got a bit of a better view than most people because I didn't have anyone behind me. But would you want me to just run through the card, Steve, or? Absolutely.
You start with the main event, and you go off in any direction you want, Danny.
All right. Yeah. So Taylor fight. I mean, personally, I haven't watched it back yet because of I'm not paying 20 quid for that. But yeah. I had it. So interestingly enough, from what I was watching, I had Taylor winning the first and the fourth round, Prograis winning other way round. I had Prograis winning the first and the fourth, and Taylor winning the two in between, which was 2-2. But then I had Taylor kind of stepping away a little bit, kind of up to about 5-3, and then I think I had it about 7-4. But then I had it obviously finishing seven rounds to 5 in the end, which was obviously about right. I don't think that the scorecard was he an Italian? Was he an Italian judge?
Yeah, Montella. Yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous. It wasn't that wide. Prograis jab. Obviously, that's the first time I've seen that up close. That was pretty impressive. Kept Josh at bay for quite a bit, for some time anyway. But again, the body work from Taylor was really good, really impressive. And I mean, look, I've seen his last 3 fights live. I've spent a few quid on him, and he hasn't disappointed on all 3 occasions. So I think you can quite clearly say I'm a massive fan, and I'm absolutely delighted last night that he did the business and came home the winner, and I think he thoroughly deserved it. I can't see any reason whatsoever to give that to Prograis. I could see it being like 1 round to Taylor, but I couldn't see it going the other way from where I was sitting.
And what about next then, Danny? Where do we see him going? And as for the World Boxing Super Series as well, just occurred to me, it's maybe struggling a bit, but you're quite a big proponent of the tournament, aren't you?
Yeah, so what's that? Fourth or fifth time I've been to a World Boxing Super Series show. Yeah. As Smido alluded to earlier, I'm a little bit disappointed that the production wasn't there with the old lights last night, because it does kind of give a little bit of a different flavour to a boxing event. So yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. But yeah, I kind of I can only see this phasing out. I can't see the money being thrown at it, sadly. I know I posed the question to you boys a few episodes back about how much of a fan I am, and I'm almost sad to say that this could be the end. I mean, what we got left? We got the Inoue fight left, and then the Dortico final. Is that right? And then the tournament's finished, and I think that's the end of it. After that, I can't see it carrying on. As for Josh Taylor, I think he's tight at the weight, if I'm honest with you. I spoke to his old man when I was up there with Andy in Glasgow, and I think, if I remember rightly, he said then that he'll move up after the tournament. So I'll be surprised. I mean, if he's going to get a unification fight, fine, he'll do it. If he's not going to get it, I don't see any reason to stick around. I certainly don't want to see him stick around for a fucking fight with Ritson. Ritson does not deserve that whatsoever. He's done absolutely nothing. And as you boys discussed on last week's pod, there's people like Yigit. There's the people that have Baranchik, the people that have gone out of the tournament already that he will need to go through before he even gets a shot with Josh Taylor. So let's forget all that nonsense. But yeah, like I say, I'm sad to see the end. If this is the end of it, or the beginning of the end, yeah, I'll be sad to see it go.
Give us the undercard lowdown as well, as brief as you want, really. I mean, you're not going to be rushing back to rewatch that Lawrence Okoli Ivan Garbu fight, I wouldn't imagine.
Jesus Christ, let me start on that then. So I went with my old man last night, and I'm not joking you, he was falling asleep watching it. It was that bad. I said, "Are you all right?" And he said, I can't watch this shit. And this is for someone who's like fairly new to the sport. Not new to the sport, obviously he's been watching it for years, but in terms of going to the live events, like, he's fairly new to it. Like, that was about his third or fourth last night. and for someone to actually physically nearly fall asleep watching it is really bad. I was chatting to there's a guy from Germany, Lewis Greenslade, who is a massive fan of the pod, and we were discussing last night, and we think that out of the 10 worst fights we've ever seen, that Lawrence Okolie has been a part of 3 of them. So the Askin fight, the Chamberlain fight, and now this one. And here's a question for you. Can you think of anyone else that has won a British, a Commonwealth, and a European belt in such a fucking boring fashion as Lawrence Okolie? Because I'm telling you now. No, exactly. There you go. Anyway, to cut things short, I would drive Bradis and Dortico over to England in a fucking heartbeat to wipe this geezer out, because I'm fucking sick to death of watching him with his bloody jab straight right. That's all he's got. I haven't seen any variation on any punches apart from a jab straight right. His movements, he's got no movement. He's just got that wide stance, and then he just tucks in. He's just pushing people around the ropes because of his frame. Even Makabu, to a point, could even potentially give him a little run for his money. But if he isn't going to fight either of those 3, I'm not interested. So I don't want to see Eddie Hearn rolling out anyone else other than looking at the big dogs in the division now.
Couple of points from me, Danny. Sorry if you don't mind me just interrupting there. First of all, it's not like everyone's just jumping on the bandwagon and having a go at him, because I saw many times last night where he threw the shot and his immediate instinct was to hook that left hand around Ngabu's back, so he is definitely holding. And secondly, if he's getting away with it at home and they can keep bringing the guys over, I think he's going to be frustratingly effective, and he's going to get a lot of decent wins, as he has done so far. He's going to be a bit of an enigma, I think, but he's going to go pretty far with that style.
Do you wonder if it's a deliberate act to send him to the McGuigan training wise, to make him a little bit more exciting and sellable, and in with a team with Campbell and Taylor and Groves is on the city? I just think that's a positive move what they've done, but I think you're not going to change the spots on the leopard.
Smido, funny you say that, but have we actually seen any variation since he's got with McGuigan? I'd say no.
Well, I can't answer that question because I do not watch Okolie fights. After that asking, I'm not interested. I was making my dinner, I think, last night when he was on. I'm not interested.
No, well, I tried my best not to be a casual. I am trying to see if he is improving, and I can't see it. So I don't think trainer's going to matter in this case. I don't know. I don't know what to say about him. I don't want to see him on TV anymore. Simple as that. There you go. Unless he's fighting Dortico or Bradis.
Is it a fear-based style, Danny? Is he like not afraid, obviously, as in afraid, but does he not want to get hit? Because it's like a fear-based reaction, isn't it? Like jab, quick grab before anything happens.
No, but it's almost like, so from where I was standing last night, you could see Ngabu was almost coming forward and looking to throw the shots, but before he could even let off a shot, Okolie would almost just sort of like lurch over him and hold in and all that, and it's almost like when he expects a shot coming, he just sort of like rather smother it before it even happens, rather than try and block it or use fancy footwork. It's just a ploddy, come forward, I'll grab you so you can't punch me style, and it's just not good to the eye. I just don't like it.
Anything else, Danny? Chisora, do you want to see Pricey hang him up, maybe?
Yeah, so for me, Price to hang him up. Chisora, well, Parker, and then maybe Parker ends Chisora. Because Parker hasn't got big. He's not a big hitter, is he, Parker? So
no.
That fight to me could be a bore fest. But if Parker beats Chisora, then where does Chisora go then? So that's kind of me looking at that's the end of War Chisora for now. By the way, there was no way I was ever going to pay fucking 30 quid for a War Chisora t-shirt. Let's get that straight. I just want to mention Burns and Selby as well. I was a little bit disappointed that Burns is getting reeled out to get blown away by these kind of people that Hearn would rather see, or try and build up. Because I don't know if it was if you could see from the television last night, but obviously Luke Campbell was there, so I'm guessing that's going to be the next shitfest that gets reeled out is Lee Selby versus Luke Campbell. I can see that almost happening. But yeah, disappointed in the way Burns is being dealt with. And then the only other quick mentions is that I managed to catch up with David Diamante again last night, and he has, for the second time, promised me that he'll come on the pod and have a chat with you guys about it. So, Steve, I'll try and catch up with you and sort that out at some point. Managed to meet Callum Smith last night, and fuck me, I have no idea how he makes 12 stone. Honestly,
big, isn't he?
He's a fucking giant. Like, he's absolutely enormous. Big shout out to Ben Faruqi, who I bumped into last night, said hello. And the senior guru was there last night, and all the Scots boys, so made it a good night. And I have a Bellevue of the Week nomination as well, please, Steve.
Yeah, throw it in, Danny.
So, I was standing there watching one of the fights, and I turned round, lo and behold, there he is, Paul Smigger Smith, standing in the same area as me, begging the security guards to let him into the VIP section. A no-go until we managed to track down a familiar face who managed to slide him in. So, Fatboy Smigger, Bellevue of the Week, for begging to get through to the VIP section at the boxing last night.
A fucking millionaire, and he's begging to get into the VIP section, you fat bastard.
You should have got him on the pod, that would have been an achievement.
Oh, mate.
Hoodwinked him.
Jesus Christ, man. It's shocking. Guy's a fucking mess, man. Honestly. I swear his clothes look like he'd been on a fucking free-for-all at Primani as well. It's shocking.
Meant to be coming back, isn't he? Aren't they running some big stadium show in Liverpool, and all the Smigs are going to be fighting on there together?
Then they fucking start, Steve.
Telling you heard it here first.
Oh, fuck Anfield, fucking Stanley Park.
Bieber.
Oh, fucking hell. Tinder and all that sort of stuff, aye.
Fighting Lee McAllister for the heavyweight WBF title.
What I was going to say to Danny, actually, Danny, what was he weighing? At least two ton?
Oh, fuck me. I tell you what, I reckon between me and my old man we'd have trouble lifting him, put it that way.
Are you blocked by him on Twitter, Danny?
I'm not really one for that. So, but I don't follow him if I'm honest with you. So, yeah.
No problem. Anything else you want to add in there before we let you go, Dan?
No, not really. Just keep up the good work. Hopefully the next Taylor fight will be up in Scotland, and I'll get to see some of you boys again soon.
Lovely jubbly. Excellent stuff. You're always welcome whenever you want to come on. Just give me a shout. Thanks, Danny.
Cheers, gents. Take care.
Cheers, Danny.
Cheerio.
Cheers,
mate. Cheers.
Danny Young there, friend of the pod. Always welcome. Danny, good lad. We were talking Stevenson just before he came on. Gabe, I don't know how much you saw of it though, but Shakur Stevenson, who picked up $350,000 for his efforts last night, becomes the first 2016 Olympian to pick up a world title. Well done to him, even though he's a bit of a twat. Didn't really have to get out of first gear, Gabe, I didn't think, against Joet Gonzalez, who picked up $200,000 for his troubles. Gonzalez moved a lot, but he just didn't throw enough punches to get Stevenson out of the comfort zone. I was a little bit disappointed with Gonzalez, Gabe. What do you think, Gabe? Were you disappointed? Gabe's be right back. Anybody else want to chime in on this, or should we move on?
Move on, mate.
We shall move on.
Gabe's saying he's got a master for the a call for the Grand Wizards, so, duty calls.
Duty calls indeed. I was going to ask you about Easter Granados as well. We'll shelve that. Next week over on PBC, Fox Sports 1 in Maryland, Javier Fortuna against Jesus Cuellar. Brian Castano, I was hoping to see him in the rematch against Erislandia Lara. He's fighting Wally Lucky Omatoso instead. I'll tune in on the Sunday morning and watch that one. What about this one then, Rob? USA, ESPN, Miguel Bichelt. He's starting to slide into irrelevance for me, going in against Jason Souza, WBC Super Featherweight title defence, German Ankayas on the undercard, Alex Saucedo as well against the mighty Rod Salka. What about Bichelt against Souza? You a little bit underwhelmed by Bichelt's career, Rob?
Jesus Christ. Rod Salka's on the telly, is he?
Oh yeah, get him on.
That's fucking shocking. They literally must have had nobody else for the TV start of Rod Salka in 2019. He's on the telly. I don't know. I'm not overwhelmed by that card, Steve. As you might be able to predict. Bichelt, He's just holding the belt, isn't he? Like until Lomachenko wants to take it off him. Oh no, not Lomachenko. I couldn't give a fuck about this fight, Steve. To be honest with you, sorry to cut you short. Couldn't give.
Can you give me a prediction, please? Give me a prediction. Go on.
Burchelt to stop Sosa. Sosa. The last good Sosa was your man in Scarface. You know what I mean? Who said it to Tony, I told you a long time ago, Tony, not to fuck me. So that's about as good as I can say about Sosa. This is going to be awful. Like I probably watch the highlights or something, or a little Twitter montage on the Sunday, but I'm not going to be staying up to watch it anyway. Definitely not.
In 2015, Rob, Jason Souza drew with Nicholas Walters. That was the 4th draw in his career, including he drew with the same guy twice. 4 draws. What do you think about that, Rob?
He might want to get. He must be training with Blue Jack or something. Draw you to death.
And what about Bichelt's rate?
Got more draws than fucking. What's his name? Ralph Harris.
Hasn't Jack signed to fight Pascal? That's got draw written all over it. That.
Yeah, that's happening. Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's a draw.
It's a draw. It's fucking 2-1 to be a draw, that one.
So what does Miguel Bichelt have to do to get into the Hall of Fame then, do you think, Rob? What run can he go on now?
Beat Oscar Valdez.
He needs to fly out of a Ferrari at 150 miles an hour with nothing but broken teeth, and then he can lay claim to it. Other than that, he can forget about it.
The Black Jesus, he can become the Mexican Jesus.
Jesus
Jesus.
What was it Dave called Chuckru the Black Pennywise? I haven't seen him in the chat yet. He might have fallen asleep.
He's smoking the fucking star dog, isn't he?
Rob, just to bring you back to that ESPN card featuring Bichelt against Souza. What about Jerwin and Kayas on the undercard against Jonathan Javier Rodriguez? How do you see that one going, Rob?
Oh yeah, I'm big into this one as well, Steve. I'm going to say the draw. And Kayas will be edge. Give me the edge.
Bob Arum's promoting, Rob. Does that mean anything to you?
Love a bit of Bob. The Bob father. Love him. Legend in the sport. Just gets better. He's going to be around in another 10 years, I guess, promoting the next Olympian. But I don't see him dying off anytime soon. He seems to be in good health, so hopefully the Bob father reigns long supreme.
See, Rob, you underestimated yourself. You had plenty to say on that card. I knew you did. I'm coming to you next week to review that one.
Steve, you're the worst. You're worse than Teddy Atlas. I'm throwing the towel in. You're fucking trying to send me out for another round. There
you go. Bichelt against Sosa, broken down by Rapping Rob Kelly. Tune in next week, episode 347. Rob is going to give you an in-depth breakdown of that headliner. If it kills me, he will. If it kills me. Right, let's move on to the next one. Gabe, I don't think he's back with us yet. So, Andy, let's hit you up with this Manchester Arena card. Buatsi was supposed to be on it, wasn't he, against Caparillo? He's pulled off now.
Seriously, you hit me up with that fucking trash.
Andy, come on now. I could have given you Bichelt against Sosa, but I thought, no, I'm not going to do that to him tonight.
I'd have preferred Bichelt against Sosa than this pish.
What do you think about Bichelt against Sosa, Andy? You think it's going to be a good fight?
No.
Come on.
I just think Bichelt's he's got an easy fight because he's had a couple of hard ones. He's going to fight Oscar Valdez after he wins this fight. Jerwin and Cajas is, nondescript fucking super bantamweight. Oh, he's no, what is it? What weight is he? It doesn't matter, right? Salcedo against, that's El Chulo against Rod Salka, right? But seriously, you're going to come to me about fucking Anthony Crawler fighting some bum for Czech Republic.
Anthony Crawler against Frank Urquiaga.
He got me with Zab Judah and Chad Dawson recently, so he's on a run well existing.
I know, but Rob's playing the game. I've done 300 episodes. I'm like, fuck that shit. I've earned some credit here. I can just say, fuck that shit.
Well, Ozzy's bailed out on us, so I would usually go to him on this type of card. Felix Cash, Jack Cullen, Katie Taylor, Terry Harper, Kais Ashfaq against Joe Ham. The most interesting fact is it's in Manchester Arena.
We'll never fucking forget.
What do you think then, Andy? What about Crawler? Is he going to get a win on his final appearance as a pro?
I do not give a fuck.
Anthony Crawler sounds a little bit like Bomber and is in no way related to the terror attacks in this arena. We'll never forget the night of Ariana Grande.
Oh,
give us a line. Give us a line on Crawler, Andy, before we move on to Smido. Then come on, what comes to mind?
I don't know. I mean, he's done well for his cell, I suppose. Right? He's come from non-descripant, English champ, British champ. I was there that night. He actually beat Willie Lemond actually in Motherwell. The night at Ravenscraig, I think he was trying to get the Burns fight at that point. And he got iced off Derry Matthews, I think it was, after that fighting up. But he's done pretty decent. I mean, he's campaigned against like the best fighters at his weight domestically over the last how many years, whatever it was, and stuff like that. Dallas Perez rematch in the Barroso one, even though he was iced at the weight and stuff, gave up big performance against Linares over 2 fights. Well, I would say over one fight. That'll be the first one, I think it was. Basically outboxed, outclassed in the rematch. Less said about the Burns fight, the better, actually, to be honest with you. Fight was too late in happening. I think if that fight had happened back when it was supposed to happen, I think it was about 14, 15 possibly.
Yeah.
It would have been a different issue. Lomachenko, fucking well. Pension fight, that's all I can say. But he's done well for himself. He's went away to a promoter who's got him big fights, looked after him, and hopefully he's looked after his cash and that, because this is all it is. I mean, I'll put it this way. I suppose the only question I've got about this card, right? I mean, I'm gutted that Joshua Boatse isn't fighting, right? People can shit on his opponent, for example, and that, but I'm a fan of the boy. I want to see him fight, but I want to see him against good opponents. But the only question I've got about this card is, how the fuck is this for some sort of WBA title? This fight against
trying to say the title's pointless, Andy.
Well, what's the fucking point of putting a belt on the line? I mean,
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
He's headlining a card in his hometown in his last fight, and you're going to pay a sanction fee to the WBA in your last fight for like what? So you're going to basically get up something like $4,000 in sanction fees. Anthony, fucking hell, man! Did the brick cause you fucking brain damage that you just fucking forget about that sort of shit? Come on, have a word. But no, Steve, I'm not even watching that shit next week, man. You're fucking joking me. No way am I watching that shit.
Yeah, I'd probably watch it, to be honest. Adam Smido Smith.
Fucking rat.
Let's have a look down the card for you. Come on, you will. Crawler, man, he fought the brick and he won. I wonder where the brick will be on Friday night, Saturday night, maybe watching at home.
I've been to my fair share of Anthony Crawler fights at the MEN, but no, I won't be watching. I mean, it's on 2 weeks. I mean, how many weeks' notice has this farewell opponent had? 3-4 weeks. I think Katie Taylor will be main event in terms of last on. But yeah, Crawler's the headline act, if you like. Yeah, just I mean, I'm not going to begrudge him it, but I won't be tuning in. I think Crawler's another one of them, similar to what we said about Burns really earlier in the pod, about an overachiever really for the talent that God gave him. And yeah, fair enough, but no, not for me. I won't be watching next week, and I'm still not interested in women's boxing whatsoever.
Why not, Smido?
I just it's
especially not Shannon Courtney.
Yeah, Shannon Courtney can fuck off. Yeah, boo.
Yeah.
Don't mention her.
Hated Eddie Hearn when she wanted to, and then she turned 180.
Rumpo fucking Stiltskin.
Right, let's have a look at some of the action
Who
next
does
week.
give a shit about those fights, though, really? Like, what's the justification even from the fan base to see those fights on the fucking card? Like, nobody
Thirsty
in
people.
the arena gives
Thirsty
a fucking flying fuck about them fights.
Got me Shannon Courtney.
Fights. The only people... seen more of her IFL interviews than I've seen of her fights. That's the truth. Couldn't tell you what she looks like. And I already know what she looks like in the ring. Trash.
Thirsty people, that's what it's wanting.
You would though, wouldn't you, Rob?
1,000,000%.
Yeah. Come on, Smith.
until environmental health came to investigate the smell.
Smith.
Hey, you won't catch
Anyway.
her walking her dogs in a dark field in Ireland on a Sunday night, would you?
Should be lucky.
Near the point, Smith. Near the point, would you?
Absolutely.
That's my boy.
Right, yeah. Where was I? Russia. A few guys to keep an eye on. No, I'm not even going to bother with that. Who cares? You know,
Steve,
it's only
would
me
you?
and you, Andy, isn't it? Who are you talking about?
You know who I'm talking about.
I thought, is this Courtney, Shannon Courtney?
Well, I wasn't going to mention any names in that case. I'd go back to her because you know how she likes to kind of search her own name, check her own Instagram videos and stuff like that. Just kind of like being a total vain mong, you know.
I haven't seen her, so I'm going to say
Have you done your research, by the way, Steve?
No, not lately.
You haven't done your research, Steve. Yeah,
Is it 4-0, Steve, aye? Is it 4-0, baby, aye?
TBE. Didn't Welling say that he have a go at that Gemma Collins though? So I don't know if we want do we need to go to Wellings on this one?
Who?
Gemma Collins.
Remember the one that she hit the ice on the fucking.
Aye.
Said she thought of Tyson Fury and she got back
man,
off the
she's
ice.
a nice big girl. Oh,
Gemma Collins, aye. Her
Yeah,
high school photograph came from the International Space Station.
You boys are too fussy. Yeah, I'm not bothering with the Russian card. Nobody cares, do they? Leon Boone against Enrico Colling. Any interest in that?
No. Is it a European title fight?
No, it's IBF International Light Heavyweight fight.
Probably no. No. We can skip that one. Hey, is Castellano fighting whoever on that card?
Yeah, we went through. He is fighting. Oh, that was on the Quayor Fortuna card. I mentioned that earlier. Who's he
Right.
fighting? Can't remember, Andy.
It's okay. Just wonder if it's still going ahead. No, it's okay.
According to BoxRec it is. Yeah, we're going to be getting on to Canelo against Kovalev soon. Is Gabe back with us by any chance? I wanted to hit him up on Robert Easter against Erickson Lubin, actually, which took place over the weekend. Dave Hayter-Loback should be on. That was in Reading, Pennsylvania. That's Dave territory. Shout out to Erickson Lubin, by the way. I liked his line after the Nathaniel Gallimore fight whenever Jim Gray interviewed him in the ring and they talked about Terrell Gosher had pulled out. He said, "We had Gosher pull out. I don't know why. I think he was pregnant or something." And then Jim Gray gave him this hell of a look, man. I thought that was quite sharp from Lubin, so line of the weekend to him.
Jim's such a fucking prude. He's just a fan.
Why'd you do it, Mike?
But he's got his moments, like, but he's just a dick. He's the American version of Gary Newborn. Remember that wanker?
Gary Newborn, yeah.
Remember after the first Eubank Ben fight, and you know both guys are absolutely wrung out. I mean, fucking Eubank swallowing blood because he split his tongue open, and he's got fucking body shots. He's pissing blood and stuff like that. And Newborn starts to ask him questions, stuff like this. He says, "Oh, I'm in too much pain." And Newborn, and I quote, says, "What? Pain?" I was like, fucking hell, you just watch those fucking guys just go to war there. And then, I don't know if anybody remembers this one actually, but he used to do used to be a live phone-in on Sky Sports back in the day. This guy came on the call. He started kind of like talking about Gary Newborn as a presenter and stuff like that. He's like, "Oh, thanks very much, and stuff like that." He says, "But see, at the end of the day, Gary," he says, "everybody thinks you're an absolute cunt."
Was that the Gary Newborn one? Someone done that to David Mellor as well, didn't they? On 5
brilliant.
Live. You're a cunt, David. And he goes, "I think you're a bit of a Burke yourself." Flip me. Live TV.
When Jim
They
Gray
might ring up and do that on us, Rob.
When Jim Gray he fell out with Tony or something in the ring, he went to walk after. He said, "Don't walk up on me, dog. I don't like you."
Right, let's move on to the Canelo fight, shall we? We can hold it off no longer. Might as well. So, Canelo Alvarez against Sergey Kovalev. Who should we go to first? Someone's joined the call. Who's that? Oh, that's you, Dominic, isn't it? Can you hear me okay? Dominic, are you there?
Dominic hates the SMP, so I'm fucking happy with that.
Dominic was looking to come on.
Nazi party.
And if he's with us or not.
I hope you fucking die.
There's Chisora. Right, let's move on to Canelo. We'll try and get Dominic talking if we can. We'll go to you first of all, Rapping Rob Kelly. Let's address Kovalev's susceptibility then, shall we, to body shots. his lack
Come on,
of
Rob.
resolve, and an ability to cope under pressure mentally and physically. Is this where Canelo will enjoy the bulk of his success, Rob? Breaking him down physically, breaking him down mentally. You're picking Canelo, aren't you?
Yeah, it was when this fight was made, because I thought that there's no way that Oscar and them are taking this fight, or whoever his advisors appear to be nowadays are taking this fight, unless they thought that was a sure thing and it was a rush move to get it done. They wanted to get it done before Yad wouldn't take the step aside money. The Yad fight goes ahead, and we see shades of it again with Kovalev, that he just can't go the fucking distance no matter what it is. But a couple of things that play in this fight, I think I've alluded to it before. I think the Mexican meat scandal is hard to forgive with Canelo, and I think there has to be question marks about him getting up to 175 to even fight Kovalev. Now, granted, he's never going to go up and fight Beterbiev. He wouldn't fight Gvozdyk either, I don't think. Bivol, maybe Bivol because he's on the smaller side, but I don't think that's a fight that excites anyone. So they're making this fight to build Canelo's superstardom for DAZN, because to the casual fan, even now, if he goes up and he looks great, beating the Crusher, they could say he's one of the man at 175 as well as 68 and 60. But I don't know if it's going to be that easy. I mean, Kovalev, to me, he's cashed out a little bit. He was drunk at the fucking press conference when they announced this fight. Sozzled, actually. So I don't know what kind of shape he's going to be in. But you think if he can keep Canelo on the jab, certainly Golovkin was able to have success against Canelo with the jab. So you think if he's able to keep him on the jab, he might be able to do something in the fight and look to try and break him down. But I think if Canelo's in there after 6 rounds and he's going to the body, I mean, obviously he's going to be targeting the body, and he's one of the best at dipping to the left and just launching that body shot in there. So you'd have to think he's going to get success with it. But what if that doesn't work? What if we say that doesn't work and Kovalev can roll back the ears a little bit? Yeah, we might have an interesting fight, but I'm expecting Canelo to win it. Yeah, definitely.
Just quickly, let us pause the Canelo Kovalev chat. Excuse me, everybody. Let's see if Dom's there. Can you hear us, Dom?
Yes, can you hear me, Steve?
Oh, I can, loud and clear, sir. Tell us about Taylor against Prograis then. What did you witness?
Well, it was a great fight. I really enjoyed it. I haven't been watching much boxing, but I've been looking forward to this fight for a long time, and it didn't disappoint. And my card was same as Andy, 115, 113. I wouldn't have complained about a draw, but I had Taylor. I had it 6-3 all after 6, and I had Taylor winning 7, 8, 9, 10, and then Prograis pulled out a really admirable effort to win the last 2 rounds. And to me, the difference, watching it, I thought the difference was, I thought Taylor's superior physicality really shone through. He made it count for him in those 4 rounds between 7 and 10. And I was thinking about this earlier, and I thought, I'm not trying to say that Prograis lacked conditioning, but I just thought Taylor, his conditioning and his engine and his ability to go through the gears was just a bit superior in that critical spell. I thought there was, before the eye closed over and around about round 8, 9, I thought Taylor, it was looking like in those few rounds when he was pushing Prograis to the ropes and really mauling him, I felt like he could actually, if it keeps going like this, he might actually stop him. But I thought he really, his ability to change the sort of direction of the fight, the first early rounds when he was finding it hard to hit Prograis, was really impressive. And he's such a complete fighter. He's got skill and ability, and he's got a great, mentally he's very, very tough. Physically, his chin and his stamina and his his just natural toughness and ability to take punishment, which you need if you want to go really far in the pro ranks. He's such a complete fighter. There's very few weaknesses, it's I saw that earlier. What you were talking about earlier, I saw someone mention the possibility of Lewis Ritson fighting, and I thought that was some sort of joke,
Stadium fights are no joke.
I don't mean any offense to Guy Ritson, but I mean I can understand. I know Eddie, what Eddie's like. We know what Eddie's like. He will overmatch people. like what he did with Brook and Golovkin, that sort of thing. He doesn't give a shit. But for Ritson, whoever's looking out for after his career, if they have his best interest at heart, they wouldn't put him in with Taylor, as far as I'm concerned. And it's same with what Smitho and Andy were saying earlier. I mean, it would be a waste of a training camp for Taylor. You know, he should be. I don't think there's any point fighting for Taylor taking on a fight like Ritson. I mean, I honestly thought it was some sort of joke when I saw it mentioned earlier. But yeah, I hope he gets the Ramirez fight, and you know, I hope he unifies that, you know, or gets the undisputed. And I would like to see him up at welterweight. You know, the reason I want to see him at welterweight is because he probably won't have the same physical advantages as he has at 140. And he would have to rely a bit more on, you know, his boxing ability and his boxing at range, which, you know, what you were saying, the early rounds, it was in those early rounds, I thought he was neglecting his boxing a bit. He was too keen to get close because I think he likes fighting on the inside so much. He likes, you know, being in that position where his head's resting on the head of the opponent.
That was a concern for me at times. I thought he did at times like sort of stand in front of Prograis without really doing anything, and that gave Prograis an opportunity to hit him to the body. I was a little bit concerned, but it didn't really play out as a major factor.
Yeah, it was just he was a bit. I think, to me, I've detected a sort of pattern in the way he fights, which is very effective for him. Whereby, if he really does it properly, like a lot of fights, what he's done really well, he'll start off first 4 or 5 rounds boxing, and then once it comes to middle rounds, whenever most fighters maybe have a bit of a dip, what sets Taylor apart is he's relentless. Like, I mean, he just, his stamina. If you look at Taylor, what I always find the fighters with the really, you know, the stamina, he would have been very comfortable in the old 15-round format, because if you think of all the fighters who have great stamina, think of someone like Calzaghe. He wasn't bulk. He didn't carry a lot of bulk on the top of his upstairs. You know, he was sort of very lean, and whereas if you think of fighters who are quite bulky up top, you know, they don't tend to have great stamina. And Taylor is falls into that Calzaghe category where, with his, you know, he's got the right perfect physique to be able to fight, you know, at a really high tempo for 12 rounds and more if needs be. And he must be a nightmare to fight because he's relentless. You know, his stamina is really it's not just his superior physicality, which I think told last night. It was, I thought Prograis in those middle rounds was looking very uncomfortable with the pace of the fight. You know, Taylor looked to be more comfortable with just the frenetic pace, and I think, you know, Prograis was surprised by how good he was on the inside. But going forward, you know, it's up at welterweight. It would just be very interesting to see how he would fare up at welterweight, because you know, the guys up there are a lot bigger. I mean, you know, there's talk of this fight coming up early next year between Josh Kelly and this guy. I heard Adam Booth talking about it last night. He's talking about this fight between Avanesian and Josh Kelly. But I would like to see Taylor in maybe with someone like Avanesian, like just to see what he's like up at welterweight, you know, if he eventually goes up there. But yeah, he's got the world. I'm really delighted for him, because Taylor, I'm like Smitho now. I'm a bit of a casual. Like, I don't I only watch. I don't watch many fights, partly because I don't have the time. But I mean, I only watch, like, see this flipping fanfare, this KSI. I don't really know anything about it. You know, I sort of just I just know the name. I don't know what I know they're not boxers, like, but like that sort of thing. I only really tune in now for people like Taylor, who he's just interested in the competition. It's really refreshing. Like, you know, he's really old school. He says himself he's not interested in celebrity. He's just interested in pure competition. And he really, you know, he doesn't mess about. Like, he comes in shape, and he's always given. His fights are invariably good to watch, you know. The rounds go in really quickly. And you know there's going to be action. Like, I love the way the body punches he throws are beautiful. Like, he really I mean, obviously they mustn't be beautiful to be on the end of them, but he really throws them lovely. You know, he really gets great punches on them, and so it's I hope he I hope I'd just be interested to see what he can do up at welterweight, because the guys up there, they're obviously they're not going to be out muscled in terms of physicality, like, but he's to do it, and he's still 28, Taylor, so like he does have, I'd say, a good few years left at the top. So but I thought one thing, I was watching the commentary at Sky last night. I have to say it was poor, like, you know, like that Froch is sort of like he sort of veers one way and then the other, you know, like the start off the fight, you know, Prograis was like, you know, he's like the best thing since sliced bread, and then 2 rounds later he's overrated. It's just Macklin was poor too, you know, like they were those early rounds were the sort of Sky basically gave Prograis a clean sweep of the early rounds, and well, I can see there was an argument that Prograis was winning more of the early rounds. To me, they were very, very close rounds, and you know, they could have gone either way. And you're watching the fight, and Taylor lands a clean shot, and they don't even mention it. Like he lands a clean shot that, you know, you can. I don't know how they can miss it, and they don't say a word about it. And then they make sure that they don't miss any. And just those early rounds, I just thought, I know Prograis was doing very well in the early rounds, but to me they over-egged it. You know, they were really trying to big him up, but
see, I didn't watch that version. The one I watched was Ed Draper and Darren Barker.
Oh, did they do a separate commentary for Sky?
Yeah, they were doing, like, I'm assuming, an international feed. Maybe
Right.
DAZN related, although you would have thought DAZN probably had their own people, I don't know.
Was Darren Barker, he had Taylor up, didn't he?
Yes, I think so. I know he made the first round even. I think he did at the end, yeah.
Adam Smith was referenced because Adam Smith is he's so unsure. He knows that he doesn't know what he's talking about, so he's always, people who listen to his commentary will be aware of this. He always like references what other people are scoring it. He's all like he also threw in, there was around the 4th or 5th round, Taylor took a shot, right? And he sort of looked towards, they were in a clinch, and he was looking over Prograis' shoulder towards Shane McQuiggan in the corner. And of course he picked up and he says, "Just Taylor! Oh, he's thrown a lip to his corner. Is that the first sign of distress?" It's just like,
we'll never
if a fighter looks at so much as looks at the canvas, or sort of looks anywhere that he, you know, he's just like latches onto it. He's just like, "Is that a sign of distress?" Oh, he's so poor. Like, he's but I generally, like, I only really tune in now. People like Taylor, people who are really who are really, you know, not bullshitters, like, and you know, they're really in it for the right reasons. That's only really who I tune in for. Like Canelo Kovalev, that'll be interesting. I'll definitely stay up for that there. That'll be interesting.
Well, here, I've got a question for you on that. So hold on a minute. John Heaton threw in a question which I want to slide over to you just before you leave us. John said, "I see Kovalev staying on the outside, jabbing Canelo a lot of the fight and frustrating him, with Canelo getting to Kovalev's body in the later rounds. It could be a close fight," says John Heaton, "but the Diva will get the nod." Do you think the Diva will get the nod, Dominic?
Yeah, I think it's I can't see Kovalev stopping him. The reason I can't see Kovalev stopping him is because Canelo's head movement and his upper body movement's too good, and he really moves well. I think Kovalev will probably he might find it difficult to hit Canelo the way he would need to hit him to get him in trouble. And even if he does hit him clean, like Canelo, he took Golovkin's best shots. You know, he's a very, you know, Andy was talking about Prograis having a thick neck, you know, to take the shots like the size of Canelo's trunk. You know, he's like, there is no neck, it just sort of, his head just morphs into his chest, like, you know. So it's I think Canelo will win. I will say this, Steve. I don't think Canelo want anything. He might want something to do with Kovalev, you know, pick the fight, but I don't think he'd want anything to do with that other fella was fighting last week. That
Beast.
Russian boy, he is fucking scary. Baby. I don't think. I was listening to that discussion you had last week about what would happen against someone like Bivol, and I know a few of the guys thought Bivol would win, but I think Bivol would suffer the same fate as Gvozdyk. I mean, he's a slightly maybe better boxer than Gvozdyk, not by much, but he's a small light heavy, and Beterbiev is a big light heavy. Beterbiev could fight at cruiserweight, and Bivol could probably make super middleweight. So I don't think he would. I think he would get stopped late, and Beterbiev. I mean, he is one. You could hear people were talking about. Some people were saying you could hear progress punches on the fight last night. I watched this a replay of the Beterbiev fight like on the Daily Motion site, and it wasn't a great quality stream, but I'll tell you this here, like.
Other streaming sites are available.
I don't think I might not ask Andy. I think his gave way last night. He was going apeshit whenever Taylor fight was on. But
mine did with a minute to go. Yeah, I think I was on the same one as him. Less said about that, the better.
I'll tell you this here. You could hear Beterbiev's shots when they were landing. Like it was scary. Like I mean, he's he's the sort of fight. He's a dangerous man to fight because he's not going to take people out really with one shot, which is not really that dangerous. You're gonna be in there taking 8, 9, 10 rounds of like really, really punishing shots, and to me, I think he's the man at light heavy, but I can't see him being beaten. Or as Don Charles would say, I can't see him being beaten.
Thought that was Dr. Joseph, a JOTHD PhD. Right, Dominic, I'm going to have to move you on here. The chat are going wild for Smido, as you can imagine.
See you later. See you, boys.
Cheers, Dominic. All the best now. Yep, Jason Chukwu is in the chat, everybody. Good to have him. Yeah, I think he fell asleep. Right, let's get on with you. Smido Smith, back to Canelo against the Crusher. I was saying to Rob there about maybe Canelo breaking Kovalev down physically and mentally, but let's counter my own initial point here, Smid. We saw against Anthony Yard that the Crusher can suck it up. He can come back to score KOs. He showed against Eleider Alvarez that in the rematch, he can go back to the scene of the crime and he can outbox a guy who knocked him out. He showed that he has enough devilment to continue trying to damage opponents, even though he has a ring fatality on his record. Now, I'm not blaming him for that, by the way, just bringing it up as a point of interest. So, Smido, am I underestimating Kovalev's resolve, and am I underestimating his fighting spirit?
No, this is a done deal. This is a cynical move from Canelo and the boys. He's the golden boy of this generation. They're signing him up. I mean, how many weeks after he fought Yard? 8, 9 weeks? 10 weeks at max?
Yeah.
I think Canelo is gonna knock him out. But Andy mentioned it, or Rob, sorry, to the body. I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, Kovalev is outside the ring. He's getting worse as the years go on. Someone said he was pissed at the press conference. I've not seen it. I would like to. Yard was, 30 seconds maybe away from stopping Kovalev in front of his hometown. That was, like I say, that was only a few weeks ago. I think Canelo's going to do him to the body. The boy just on then mentioned about the head movement from Canelo. I just think it's a cynical move. He's the superstar in boxing. He can go and win a world title at what would this be, the 4th weight, maybe light middle. I think it's a done deal. I think it is an absolute done deal. It's a shame really, because we've liked Kovalev along the way, and he's not particularly ducked anyone. He's been in some great scraps with Ward along the way, and he was right up there at one stage in terms of even pound for pound ratings. But yeah, I just think Canelo's just going to do it, plain and simple. I mean, if it goes to the scores, no one's beating Canelo on the scorecards. I mean, even Floyd Mayweather made it. On one person's scorecard. Canelo KO, and I think it's. I mean, I've had a shocker on boxing betting this year myself, but 15-8 Canelo KO, I think is a Christmas come early, and I will be having a go on that.
I fell asleep.
I'm glad Guy got it though.
Agreeing. Yeah, Jason Chuckery's not agreeing with you, Smido. He says Canelo ain't knocking out Kovalev. Fuck off.
I fell asleep.
Well, if Jason Chuckery wants to give me 9-4, I'll have 50 quid on with him, no problem. Slide into my DMs, Jason. Slide into my DMs.
Slide in. Smido's open. Slide in, brother. Yeah, Kovalev for me needs to keep it at range, or he has a world-class jab, so use it. You know, he's a big lad. Use that to your advantage as well. Mostly keep it long for Kovalev, I think. I don't think that trying to wear Canelo out on the inside will work. Grabbing hold of him, pushing him down, that's food and drink to Canelo on the inside, regardless of the comparable physiques. You back with us, Andy, or are you still absent at the moment? Andy was tending to other matters. Rob, I don't really want to dwell on this for too long, but let's dwell on it anyway. Canelo is clearly beefing with Oscar at the moment. They aren't communicating directly. Oscar isn't even turning up to any of his shows. We know he's on this sexual assault charge. I'm sure Canelo has someone going over that contract even, with a fine tooth comb, and he's looking to slide away from Golden Boy, I think.
Yeah, it looks like he's publicly negotiating like Ryan Garcia, doesn't he? Like, there's been a falling out with Oscar along the way. And to me, that's kind of sad. And, you know, fighters get bigger than, you know, he's the golden goose now, a $360 million contract. Him and his team perhaps think they did that on their own without Golden Boy's help. You have to remember, Golden Boy, I spoke about this before, Golden Boy ensured that Canelo was known over here because they kept putting him on Floyd's undercards. Then they got him the Showtime deal, following Mayweather's footsteps over the Showtime. Then comes off the Showtime deal, he's back with HBO. Then signs the biggest contract to any athlete in the world. And Golden Boy didn't have a major hand in that. To me, on the outside, I don't know what's going on the inside, but to me, on the outside, that stinks a little bit. Like, and whatever Oscar is, as a fighter, he was great. As a promoter, I don't know if he's shady or not. I don't have any dealings with him. I don't know what these fellas are earning. Him and Dana White go back and forward publicly about what fighters are earning sometimes. So I really don't know, but I definitely think Golden Boy have a major part to play in Canelo's legacy.
And Rob, assuming Canelo gets past this, then down to 168, maybe fight someone like Billy Joe Saunders. I saw on Twitter earlier in the week someone was mentioning the Jacobs rematch. No thanks, I don't want to see that shit. No. Third Golovkin fight will never happen though either.
He doesn't seem to want that one. He's clear about that. Like, he's not giving Golovkin another shot, he says. So he is pulling some diva moves, and he has pulled a lot of diva moves over the last 10 years. But his resume is very good. He has a lot of great names on it. At the moment, you're just going to see him in fights that they can generate interest in him and cash for him. So Billy Joe Saunders coming off that big KSI Logan undercard, that could be a pay-per-view smash. I actually think that'll be a good fight. I don't think it's going to happen though. I just don't see it. Who he fights next, I don't know. He has to get by. This one's not a gimme. I don't think it's not as much of a gimme as people would think. Like,
sorry, I'm trying to work out who's still on the call. Our original guest as well didn't answer. He forgot about it, so I'm trying to maybe hook him up again. The joys of this hosting lark, man. Gabe, I think, has gone. Andy's BRB at the moment. Got to come up with something big for you, Smido. Did I ask you earlier about Anthony Crolla? I suppose I did, didn't I? I'm clutching at straws here right now. Got to be honest.
We want to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, Crolla, I'm not interested. Say even 2 years ago, this Canelo and Kovalev fight would have been massively intriguing, and still is a little bit. But yeah, I just think it's a belt grab at an additional weight. Even with his Mexican beef, I think light heavyweight's a step too far for Canelo in the medium to long term. But I just think it's a very, very calculated move on a fighter that is clearly and visibly in more than one fight past his best. Obviously he's got that loss to the other Alvarez that was revenged, fair play. But yeah, Anthony Yarde going into that fight was not even proven at European level, and he's managed to cause Kovalev or put all sorts of problems in pockets of that fight, not sustained because he ain't very good, Yarde, yet. But yeah, just all the evidence is there that it's a settled job. It's a done deal. It's a done deal. I wish it wasn't, and I wish it had. I wish we didn't know these signs of Kovalev, and I wish he'd had a better preparation, and I wish he wasn't drinking outside the ring. But it is a done deal. This is going to be This is a legacy builder for Canelo, because in 5-10 years they can say, oh, he's won world championships from 154 to 175.
it's just a done deal. Simple as that
Smido,
for me.
thanks very much. I hope you don't mind me cutting you off, but we have a friend of yours on the call, Lee Wood. How you doing, Lee? Not too bad at all. Thanks for joining us. We're just talking about Canelo Kovalev, but I'm interested if you saw the Josh Taylor Regis Prograis fight last night. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, I gave it Taylor by like 3 rounds. I thought the cleaner work was coming from him, and the other round, the Prograis one was probably closer. But yeah, Taylor clear winner for me.
Yeah, Taylor did really well. Just looking at your career, Lee, tell us about your relationship with your trainer, Ian Grant, up at the Elite Boxing Club. Things going well?
Really well, mate. I trust him. I trust him with my life, Ian. And I think that's one of the most important things as a coach, as your trainer. You need to have the trust element. He's got my best interests at heart. Got a lot of history together. We trained me alongside Don for a number of years. He used to call me when Don wasn't available. He used to train me the whole time. So yeah, I mean, he knows me anyway. So it wasn't so much a move. It was more of going back to what I used to do and doing it somewhere else.
Yeah, and you've got Dave Caldwell managing you at the moment. He's steering things in the right direction straight through this golden contract tournament.
Dave's very, very important for my career. He's got a vast knowledge of experience as well, so he adds to my training and my sparring. He has an input in it as well. So yeah, I'm very fortunate to have Dave on my side.
You obviously got a pick in the golden contract and you went for David Oliver Joyce. That was a bit of a surprise to some people, myself included, but you felt that you could exploit his style and you boxed lovely on the night.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's no one in this tournament I'm scared of fighting or I'm thinking they're going to beat me. I think I'm expecting hard fights, like Joyce wasn't an easy fight. I didn't expect an easy fight. But there's no one I don't think I can't beat. So yeah, it's all to play for. And with the choice of Oliver Joyce, I mean, I was going to pick Walsh, to be honest with you. But because the British went on the line. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, because the British went on the line, I didn't want to beat him and then possibly have to fight him again for the title or beat someone of that caliber and not get the title. It would have been a bit disappointing. But yeah, I picked Joyce. I think he was second favourite, and I wanted to make a bit of a statement, and I did that.
Just to remind our listeners, we have Lee Wood on the call, at It's Lee Wood, over on Twitter. You had a proper breakout win against Ryan Doyle in May of this year. That was a good performance and a great stoppage.
Yeah, I mean, you know, kids like that, they do warrant the level of the box out. Like, he is Commonwealth title level, probably British title level. No one's ever going to get an easy night with him. I mean, I probably did have it all my own way, but I trained the hardest I ever trained. I was focused, I was super fit, and I knew what he brings, and I kind of took away his greatest attributes. And I said that when I boxed Joyce as well. Like, they said, what have you seen, what you think you can exploit, what his weaknesses are? And I said, he's not got a lot of weaknesses, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away what he's good at, and standing there letting him throw combination punches and walk me down is what he's good at, and that's what I took away from straight away by moving.
You mentioned the Commonwealth title there. I think that one of your old opponents, Josh Whale, is hunting down a shot at that belt as well.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Whale is a tricky customer. He's there for most of the duration of the fight, pressuring you, making you work, but I don't really think he's a featherweight, to be honest. I boxed him at featherweight, and it's probably a super bantamweight at most. I don't think he's big enough for featherweight, but good luck to him. You know, after I beat him, he went on and won the British title. Yeah, he's a really good fighter, and I think it's a bantamweight he'd have a lot more success.
It's a thriving featherweight scene at the moment. You've got the likes of Warrington, Frampton, possibly Galahad out in front. Then there's guys like yourself, Ryan Walsh, Jordan Gill, Isaac Lowe, all well in the mix as well.
Yeah, they're all in the mix. It's all up for grabs, really. I mean, I know Josh Warrington's flying the flag. Shakur Stevenson just won the WBO. I want them fights, them big fights. A lot of people are saying, oh, he's the next pound for pound champion. Shakur is on the way to great things, but I'd love that fight. I want to test myself. I want to see where I'm at, you know. A lot of kids would probably be running away, and I want to be running towards him. Obviously, you got Galahad. I trained alongside him for about 10 years. Jordan Gill, my flatmate. I'll never fight him. We're like brothers. But yeah, it's wide open. I'll fight anyone else apart from Jordan Gill, obviously. But really, my eyes after this tournament, my eyes would be on the world champion.
Final one for you, Lee. You're a big Nottingham Forest fan. I imagine that's similar to Josh Warrington with Leeds. You get a few of the football lads crossing over to follow your progress?
Yeah, I do get a lot of support from the Forest lot. Been a Forest fan all my life. I've always gone down the game with my granddad and my friends. And it's good to help out. I mean, I go down there, they come watch me fight. Sport helping sport. I also go to Nottingham Panthers. My nan, my granddad and my auntie have got decent tickets down there. So yeah, it's good, you know. I back any sport and any way I can help and support other teams and clubs and even fighters coming through, prospects coming through. You know, I always buy a ticket and go up and watch and help out and do a bit of training. I call him my apprentice, Brad Dawes. I'm helping him out at the minute, and he's making great progress. He's just won his 6th professional fight, and hopefully be fighting for a title this year as well.
Lee, appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk to us. Best of luck going forward.
Brilliant, thanks for that. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Lee. See ya.
Cheers, Lee.
Cheers, mate.
Bye. Bye. Cheers, Lee Wood, friend of the pod. Couldn't get him on earlier, Smido, but he picked up eventually. We got talking to him. You're a big Lee Wood fan. He's going places?
Yeah, he was in the year above me at school. Claim to fame, actually been in the ring with Lee Wood when I was about 13 years old, and he absolutely embarrassed me. I couldn't believe how quick he was and still is. But good lad, and he's been, you know, he's not had it handed to him, Lee Wood. You know, there's a lot of people that Lee Wood might have trained with or met along the way, particularly training in Sheffield, as he has been doing for much of his career. And you know, we've come out of the GB setup and a kind of handed a bit of an easier route than what the likes of Lee have had. You know, he's struggled with injuries earlier in his career. I think he's had a hand operation. He was on the small hall shows, and he was a float for Carl Froch, Lucien Boutte, didn't get on. He's not had it all his own way, but he's had that breakout fight on Sky against Ryan Doyle. He's now in this tournament. Took many people by surprise. I remember you mentioned it at the time, Steve, about taking on that Irish fella. Beat him very well, another good performance. So yeah, he's going places. I think he's about 31 or 32 now. So as he said, when he comes out of that tournament, he's not just saying it for effect. He will be aiming for those world title fights because the clock is ticking, and this is the time to strike. So yeah, good luck to him.
Yep, good luck to Lee Wood going forward. Just before we bring in Andy on Canelo Kovalev and then go off to Bellew of the Weeks and finish off the show, I wanted to speak to Gabe about Robert Easter, Adrian Granados, but Gabe seems to have gone off the call, so I'll just talk about it myself. As MB said in the chat earlier, it was actually a really exciting fight. Robert Easter doesn't know how to fight long, which is great for the fans, but the main thing I wanted to say was shout out to Adrian Granados. I actually felt sorry for the guy afterwards. Imagine putting all of that effort in for 10 rounds, non-stop, landing over 250 power punches, and he didn't even win a round on one of the judges' scorecards. 100 to 90. 10 rounds to nothing, one of them put it in for them. I mean, no wonder the fellow was nearly in tears. I thought that was absolutely brutal. I had it 96-94 to Robert Easter. Thought he had good patches in the fight. Think he's exciting. He doesn't make it long and boring. He gets involved. Gets hit too much. But 100 to 90 was absolute joke. I'd like to see Robert Easter maybe fight against Sergei Lipinets next, although I think Lipinets might beat him. Rob, I wanted to ask you a question briefly before we move on to Andy. Last night I was thinking to myself, are the Showtime crew the best in boxing at commentating and analysing? And are they being wasted with this current output at the moment? We need to hear more from them.
Yeah, they probably are. I think Malignaggi is a welcome addition to any team, as much of a jerk as he is these days. Like, he's brilliant on the mic when he's calling the fights.
Go on, do it, Rob.
Where's your boss, Connor? What do you want me to tell you? Paulie Malignaggi. Where's your boss, Connor? But I thought you said you were alright, Spider. I fucking am alright, Spider. No.
Spit at somebody, go on.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Malignaggi's great in the commentary, and I think he would have been brilliant if you could have got him on HBO. It would have been kind of the dream team there, like. And I think, much as we shit on HBO, I said at the time it was the end of an era. We never probably get that again. And you're seeing, like we said last week, Sky brutal, ESPN brutal, DAZN not far behind. ESPN probably the best, well, pushing Showtime for the best. But like you said, what's on Showtime these days? Nothing. Like. So, all the big fights are welterweight are on PBC, so they're out of that mix. Although they have access there, don't they? They're somewhere with him in that relationship. I don't know. It's like you said, output is pretty grim. Like, so, yeah, I'd say they are probably being wasted at the moment.
Yeah, I thought ESPN last night. I know I could see why they were pushing because they love the narratives, the storylines, but that Gonzalez Shakur Stevenson thing was just, and it just went on and on for like 20 minutes. And Tim Bradley, I mean, flip me, he was trying to take Terence Crawford's length at one point. He just grabbing hold of him and look at us, we're best mates, and it was just embarrassing, man.
Yeah, no, it's gone to shit since HBO. HBO was the greatest. Like, I don't care. Over the years, you know, up against any other network, HBO were the best, to me anyway.
Yeah, the Cecilia Brækhus years, I agree, Rob. TBE for HBO. Andy, we've been going Canelo Kovalev. It seems unanimous verdict that Kovalev is going to lose the fight. Canelo is going to get the job done, probably by body shots. Do you think Kovalev has enough about him to hang around? He has a lot of hanging around outside of the ring to do anyway, all these legal problems. It's too quick, isn't it, the turnaround, I think. They've got him straight back in the ring, as Smitho said, and he can't have healed up from the yard fight yet.
It's possible, even though he has says that, what is it, 8 weeks, I think it was, between the fights and stuff, that it's probably a blessing. I mean, I suppose the main thing is he's had a week or two off. I follow him on Instagram, actually. He went away with his family, wife and child, and that away into the Russian woods and stuff with his family, just did a bit of water skiing and stuff after his fight. They went right back to the gym, so he wouldn't have gained a lot of weight, I would imagine. Probably kept it in check. He was doing a wee bit of training with his son and that in the gym and that as well, so just keep him loose and that as well. So I still think a lot of people are writing him off, actually. I mean, he's still, you know, he's a veteran champion. Okay, he doesn't like it to the body, but Canelo's a wee guy, you know. End of the day, he's no icing people at middleweight, and so where's the proof he's going to go up to light heavyweight and deal with a guy who's a legit 175 veteran champion with that experience? I just don't see it. Now, I do see them going up taking this fight as some sort of, you know, they see something in Kovalev. I think it's stamina, the fact is they've got the quick turnaround. And potentially, as everybody writes, they think or maybe believe he can be gotten at if you apply the right pressure on Kovalev, he can wilt. The problem he could also have is actually try to tag Canelo, obviously a weird guy. Chances are he's going to be using a lot of kind of upper body movement, making Kovalev miss, and then counter him with ripping shots to the body and stuff. So it could be like that as well. But I just think a lot of people are writing off Kovalev far too easily. I mean, the guy's been quality. You need to remember that he's been icing guys. Has he got some competition that he's had to kind of like go deeper? The war fights and that we can discuss them, I suppose, if you want. But he is what he is at this point. He's a faded vet, but I still think he's got enough about him to cause problems. And to be honest, you know, as I did say about Prograis and stuff like that, I think Spiddle mentioned it as well, is his neck and his back just seem to kind of like blend into like one another, so you can maybe hold a shot properly, but I wouldn't want to risk it, put it that way. I'm kind of on the fence as to how it's going to go. I just think Kovalev's he's not in mince with, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if he catches you right, he could go, and regardless of what age he is, 36, 37, whatever it is, if he catches you clean, you know, I don't know, but everything's just...
I think the jab's going to be key, Andy. I think that jab's absolutely key, and I rate Buddy McGirt in the corner as well. I think he's an excellent trainer.
Well, he's a good boxer, good amateur back in the day in that as well. You know, if he keeps a jab going and stuff like that. The other thing as well is that as long as he doesn't need to fight at a pace, if he fights at his own pace, isn't forced to work as much as that as well, as then it's going to favour him. It's if Canelo puts it on him and keeps it on him, that's when we could start seeing issues running about. You know, I'll go for around by the 8th and 9th round. You could see maybe Kovalev changing a little bit. Might start looking for a road out. You know, we've seen him quit before.
Andy, I can't see Canelo having to do that. You know, I think if the rounds are close, Canelo takes them. There's too much money riding on this for Kovalev to win. You know,
without doubt. I mean, I don't know how many millions of dollars it was again he was getting for it, but of course, if it's the closest fight on the cards, Canelo's getting every benefit of every doubt, without question. You know, if you see the way Kovalev's going about and acting and stuff like that, taking selfies with him and stuff, that's a guy with his foot one foot out the door of the sport. He's getting, I don't know, was it $7 million guaranteed for his fight and that. The guy's set for life, you know. Who knows? It's up to him as to how much he wants it. At the end of the day, is that as well, does he want to be known as a guy who got stopped or quit against a middleweight. I don't think he wants to be that guy. He's a Russian. He's a proud Russian in that as well. As I expect him to kind of go in there and do best he possibly can. And as I say, I would not be surprised if he pulls it off with a knockout. He's just to be respected. And the thing is as well, I mean, Yard had him in bother, and he responded like a champion should. So I just think.
Is that because Yard let him off? Maybe.
Well, that as well. But at the end of the day, Yard's the same size as him. Canelo, isn't he?
I'm a big fan of Kovalev and have been of his career so far. I think he is good at, and I think that he's obviously got the power, but he's got the boxing skills as well. That in punches, particularly like when Golovkin and Kovalev were coming on the scene, their boxing ability got and probably still gets underrated because they are so good at knocking people out. But I just think the evidence is there. Kovalev is on the slide, in and outside of the ring. He's vulnerable to the body. Canelo's going to go to the body, and it's only 9 weeks after the Yarde fight, which, despite the win, there were some bad signs in there for Kovalev. I just think everything's stacked in Canelo's favour. 2 or 3 years ago, it would have been a great fight, and I wouldn't have known who to pick. But it's just everything points towards Canelo.
I think so. Canelo's flurries, Andy. Bop. Rounds, points, picked up.
Yeah, you could see him just kind of like working on the inside and that, while Kovalev's trying to kind of like get the levers working in that. Of course, he's no prime anymore, so he hasn't got that kind of shift and manoeuvres that he can probably do. But I'm just telling you, I mean, we all thought, Yard had him out ready to go, and he pulled it out the bag in the 11th round, turned it around a bit, and Yard's a big dude. Yeah, I'm just saying is, Canelo's a wee guy. At the end of the day, is this, it just takes one shot, and Kovalev at this point, in my opinion, still carries enough to kind of make Canelo think twice.
Yeah, I think I kind of said similar. I think, although I still see Canelo winning it, I think a switched on Kovalev for 6 rounds could look good against anybody. And if he gets on the jab, like Golovkin found him with the jab, if he gets on the jab and can start breaking Canelo down and breaking his rhythm, then you might see a different fight. But I just think there's a stage in the fight where the gas is just going to go. That doubt comes into him sometimes. And you have to remember as well, since the Ward fight, you have to look at him pre-Ward and post-Ward. Since the Ward fight, he's had the loss to Alvarez and the shaky moment he had, so he's not in the greatest of form. And Canelo, but like you said, Canelo at 175, I think he's going to be juiced to the absolute maximum, coming in looking to 75 like an absolute god, like he belongs there. I think he's, even though he's shorter, I think he's going to be heavy, and he's going to have all his speed and power miraculously in this fight.
Okay, guys, just remind everybody, in fact, you are listening to episode 346 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. Rapping Rob Kelly's still with us. Gabe's disappeared. Andy's here. No hey to Dave Loback. Smido's here just about. He's hanging on by a gnat's cock. He's got 3% battery. When it's gone, everybody. That's the Smido warning. Don't forget, you can catch us on mixler.com/Boxing Asylum from 8 PM on Sundays. The Patreon RSS feed shortly after. You might be listening to this on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Soundcloud. It's all over in those places. Leave us a review as well. Why not, man? Leave us a review. I'll read it out if it's funny, or if it's shit. Only 5 stars is acceptable, though. I have a question. Where is it? Oh yeah, someone's saying that Tony Bellew's turned up on Catchphrase apparently. You fucking rat!
Leave him alone, Steve.
Catchphrase, leave him alone. Fuck's sake. What's wrong with Catchphrase? And they're not just leaving him alone.
I know. Just wants to sit there. Doesn't want to do sums, Andy. Just wants to sit there. Rob, sorry. Just wants to sit.
Which one is Catchphrase again? Which one is Catchphrase?
Is that the one with
Richard
the Irish
Whiteley?
guy? Is that the Irish boy?
Oh, your man.
Yeah. Is it Catchphrase or was it Countdown? What am I thinking of?
Roy Walker, wasn't it, when they say
Roy
Adam
Walker.
Phoenix Nights? Yeah.
Maybe it's Countdown.
Catchphrase. Kenny the Liar said to him,
it was good, but it wasn't the one, Rob.
Kenny the Liar said to him, I think it's good that you keep up that Irish accent when you're not on telly.
I'm trying to see now. Men's Luxury Fitness, let me know what it is. Oh, it is Catchphrase, yeah, it is. I was right. It is Catchphrase, there you go. No sign of Roy Walker, though. He's on with Kelly Osborne and Dan Walker, whoever them two people are. So
Kelly Osborne, Ozzy Osbourne's young one. This present Catchphrase, is she? Jesus.
He's just providing for his wife and kids, that's all. Just leave him alone. Right, let's throw out one final question before Belly of the Weeks. It was sent to us over on Patreon from Chris Adams. He says, lads, I'm sure there has been, but I can't think of any fights happening with fighters from the same gym or the same trainer. Well, I've got one straight away to throw in. Sergei Derevyanchenko against Danny Jacobs were both trained by Andre Rozier. Rozier went in the Jacobs corner, ditched Derevyanchenko for that one. Anyone think of any fights, guys, quickly, happening between fighters from the same gym or the same trainer? There's a few, but I can't think of them.
Yeah, there was a fight. I think it was either Japan or South Korea. I need to go and dig it out. But there was two brothers actually fought for. It was either one of the national titles or regional belts and stuff. And I think it ended in a knockout. I think actually. I need to go and check that one out again.
Yeah, we got to be honest. Yeah, we got to be honest. The Klitschko's ducked each other for 15 years.
Scumbags. I'm bringing one up on BoxRec here. Let's get this right, because I know I've wheeled this out on the pod before, but I remember it at the time. Okay, 2006 in Germany, Harry Doovan Jr. was left without an opponent, so his father, Harry Doovan Sr., jumped in to fight him in a proper professional fight in Germany. This is true. And Doovan Jr. knocked his old man out. Honestly, that really happened in 2006, 22nd of December. Harry Doovan Jr. knocked out his old man in the second round in Berlin. There you go. That wasn't really the question, was it? But I thought I'd throw that in anyway. Right, let's move on to Bellew of the Weeks then. Enough of this nonsense. Let's get on to the real nonsense. First nomination from Paul Dugan, 89, for Amir Khan. Amir is left furious after YouTube prank makes him think he's lost £2 million. This was his wife pranking him, saying that she'd signed a big cheque. Amir not too happy about that. Simon Says Where was nominated Taylor Clayton for tagging in Dave Caldwell. Dave, who do you have if Ritson fights the winner of Taylor versus Prograis? I think in front of 52,000 in St James's Park. The Geordies will pull Ritson through. They will lift him to another level, says Taylor Clayton. I think he should stick to chasing after... Who is he chases after, that weirdo? I know he likes Froch. Priscilla Presley. Stick to chasing after Priscilla Presley, Clayton. Charlie BR28 was one of many people nominating Tundi for this whole business with Umar, IFL Umar. He blocked him for negative comments. Negative thoughts, comments or suggestions will not be tolerated by Tundi Ajayi. Umar, you are blocked. Here's one for you, Andy. Dean Glover 1980 has nominated Kevin Mitchell from The Guardian. Greatest Scottish fighters of all time. Kevin Mitchell has Ricky Burns above Ken Buchanan on the all-time list, Andy. Come on.
Jesus, suffering fucking hell. I'm
Ricky's
going to say name here.
But come on.
I'm saying name here.
I know. Say no more. Say no more.
Yeah, did that
Ian,
Spalko win last night by any chance?
He moved down to cruiserweight and beat somebody. Yeah, he won. The first round knockout.
I just noticed his name come up on Twitter and he said he was fighting last night. Like, what?
Yeah, he's slimmed down to cruiser, Andy.
Fuck's sake.
Aye.
Wait a minute, cruiserweight? Fuck me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No way. That's £40 he's losing.
Unless I've got that wrong. Which has happened from time to time. Let's see if I can spell his name to put it into BoxRec. Spilka. Let's have a look at Spilka the Pin, former football hooligan. Winging it as best I can here. Fabio Tuiak.
No,
Tuiak's a heavyweight. Andy. This is a bullshit alert from me.
Yeah, apparently he just pulled it up there. He actually did win by knockout. Boxing Scene reporting. Oh fuck. I was a heavyweight title fight.
Yeah, I'm spreading fake news here. Apologies to everyone who was offended or hurt by that information, Andy. It won't happen again.
Have a word with yourself, mate.
Sorry. Ian has nominated World Boxing News for talking about Tyson Fury being left after a WWE attack. This is as low as YouTubers fighting as pros on pay-per-view, says Ian. Marcus Bellinger, massive Bellew of the Week for the WBC for continuing to peddle this bullshit rhetoric of banning pros who fight in the Tokyo Olympics whilst also making a mockery of their world title with this franchise crap. Well said, Marcus. Also, Prime Type Myson jumped in on that one. Mauricio Suleiman was being grilled by Nez the Grass about this. He said, it's confusing, said Mauricio. I don't want to get into it when talking about the franchise championship. It's confusing, Andy, the franchise championship. Mauricio doesn't want to get into it.
He's quite fucking right. I would body swear if I show you, Dickhead. Absolute fucking
honest,
banger.
I'll be honest. Who else have we got? God A. Davis has nominated The Boxing Rant. Nomination for these two rednecks, now recognising Canelo's regular title because DAZN sponsor them. Hired goons, says God A. Davis. We are available. If you want to fly me over to Vegas, I'll say whatever the hell you want. Isn't that right, Rob? We'll say anything. Let's get on that Aer Lingus, man. Let's make it happen. Rob agrees.
It's not always cracked up to me, Steve.
EasyJet. Sitting next to Frost.
Like Frotty on the right there.
Gavin Stevens has nominated Joseph for JOTHD PhD. Yeah, Joseph, the fame's gone to his head. He's presenting basic videos, excuse me everybody, for the boxing community, blessing the world with free boxing lessons on his account now, says Gavin Stevens. Andy has nominated Mike Costello for saying that Beterbiev is number 3 pound for pound at the moment, Andy. Nomination for Mike?
Oh, aye. It's just people are just going to be overboard. I say that he probably brings in at the top 10, but then Taylor won there at the weekend, so he comes in at the top 10 somewhere, does he know? So top 3, I mean, over like Lomachenko, Inoue and Usyk. Beterbiev, that's his first meaningful fight, shall we say, and it just happened to be unification. We just need to calm down. Number 3, pound for pound, you're not on with that one, Mike. Sorry, mate.
We want to be honest, yeah.
Bit of honesty from Mike Costello. Bellew of the Week nomination from the Box Hard podcast. They've nominated WBA for volunteering a belt on the line in a 4-rounder between 2 retired fighters. This is Bernard Hopkins calling out Roy Jones for part 3. The WBA want to get involved and put a title on the line. No doubt they do.
Fuck's sake. Fuck off with that fight. That was shit 10 years. That's 10 years ago in April. The last time they had a fight, 10 years ago in April. And it was the worst fight of all time. And they will have a rematch now. Fuck off. 2 legends making a disgrace of themselves fighting at this stage. Like, fucking, and anybody that goes to see it or gets involved in it is just as bad. Like, 2 of these should be long gone. Like,
no thanks, says Rapping Rob Kelly. Thumbs down. SS Dev 67 has nominated Eddie Hearn for saying Dave Allen is a household name. Maybe a household name in all the houses that he supposedly bought. Again, I'm calling bullshit on Housegate. Kevin Byrne, friend of the pod, shout out to Kevin, has nominated Peter James Morrison. Peter James was moaning of the fact that Canelo versus Kovalev wasn't on pay-per-view. They don't put a great fight like that on box office, says Peter. Don't get me wrong, but it's devaluing the sport.
Fucking hell. Listen, but the most important pressing question is UK TV picking this fight up next week?
Yeah, Sky Sports Regular have got it on, I think. But it should be on pay-per-view, according to Peter James Morrison.
Fucking Peter James Morrison needs to go and fucking play Tig with a car.
It's devaluing the sport, he said. Fuck's sake. Calling for it to be on pay-per-view, man. Peter, I'll tell you what, at Nippy25James, at NIPPI25James. Don't go and give him abuse on Twitter, everybody. That's his Twitter handle. Peter James Morrison, you're a front runner, as far as I'm concerned. Eddie Hearn, wouldn't be a week without him. Bellew of the Week for Eddie, nominated by Sam over at Against the Ropes, friend of the pod, for saying that Lewis Ritson has proved he's world class. Terry Woodfine has nominated the Guru. Lads, you're going to need to give your man a hand as Fearon has lit a heat under his ass. Tommy has run for the hills, making him Bellew of the Week. Tommy versus Fearon. Is Tommy going to go down and give Spencer a few digs down at the gym? Richard the Secret Williams, who I mentioned to you on a recent Punches from the Past, Rob, has been drafted in. His gym is available for Tommy to spar with the Spencer Fearon, apparently. Master Knowledge has jumped in as well. Spence and the other idiot should share this week's award for Bellew of the Weeks. Best show of the year is on, and instead of being there for Sky, because he's too biased and stupid, Spencer is trying to arrange a fight with a fat Scottish paedophile over Twitter, plus Tunde for being schooled by Umar. That's a bit harsh, isn't it, man? Tommy's lost it all the weight, I think.
Yeah, and those allegations are not proven. I want nothing to do with that, man, to be honest with you. Like Spencer, like, we give him too much air, I think. Like, you know what I mean? I think people give him too much air. If we just, because he's not on telly anymore, like, he's just got his podcast and his Twitter, let him just do his, you know what I mean?
I think it's so. Spencer took the bait though.
Asking lads to come to the gym to spar him, an ex-fighter, like, come on. Like,
I've spoken to Tommy about this actually, and Tommy's took my counsel. I will be his manager for this. Spencer, I know this will get you, mate, but I've been told to say that Tommy will be acting as the A side of this fight. your request to us to come down to England to spar or to fight will not be happening. We've discussed this matter. We will take this in advisement, but we're wanting to take this to Thailand. As you know, Tommy's moving over there soon. He's going to be engaged to be married. So, before we give him away and that, we're going to give him a dowry, you in the ring, in Thailand. That's what the A-side does. So you don't negotiate to us. We're telling you where this shit goes. So we're going to Thailand, sign on the dotted line. You can bring your wee glowworm with you as well. Bring his brother, or his fake brother with him as well. And whatever kids and that you want to fucking bring. And we'll do the same over there. All the best.
Hater Dave is here. Just in time for an impression.
Hey to Dave, jumping in everybody, live and exclusive. How are you, Dave?
Hey, good evening. Good boxing this weekend.
Absolutely. What was on? What did you say?
Watched it for a change, eh?
I have only one thing to say. Go Scotland.
I knew you were going to.
Operation U-Tree.
Honestly, though, I haven't had a chance to rescore an HD version yet, so I don't even know if I think Josh won. He was winning big down the stretch, and it looked like he was going for a stoppage, but Prograde rallied in those last 2 rounds and made it, it could go either way, honestly, and I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch, although it looks to me like they're both looking for different opposition in the future.
And what about Canelo Kovalev next week, Dave? That's happening. Are you going to watch it?
Oh, that's next week already. Well, I got to pick Canelo. I'm hoping for Kovalev, though. I haven't even seen them next to each other yet, so it's hard to judge the size difference and stuff. Canelo is kind of stocky, though, so I'd expect Kovalev to have a good height and reach advantage on him and work that jab, but I just feel like he's going to gas and then take it to the body. If a guy trained by the so-called guru Tundi Ajayi can give Kovalev as much trouble as what's his face did.
Yard.
Yeah, Anthony Yarde. If he could give Kovalev as much trouble as he did. I'd expect somebody as seasoned and experienced as Canelo and as tough as Canelo. Canelo's got a really good chin. I'd expect Canelo to be able to get to him at some point and probably not let him off the hook. Canelo's got the head movement as well to make him miss and set up good counters to the body or head. If he can reach his head, I still don't even know what he. I think he does though. I think the reach isn't going to be that much of an advantage for Kovalev. I think it's going to be more about the height. And is the weight officially 175?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's surprising, actually, that Canelo didn't drag him down at all, 172 or something like that. But Kovalev, I mean, the signs are there that even though he won in his last fight, the signs are there that he's not the same fighter as far as physically, and rumors persist that he's not training as well as he used to. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him look even worse. Well, I wish it weren't so, because I'd love to see him ice Canelo, but I think Canelo's going to pull it off. But this is actually not that bad a fight, honestly. I can't really. It's hard to criticize Canelo for taking it, because Kovalev's coming off a decent win, holds the belt, and Canelo's moving up to do it at the official limit. I know they're doing it as sort of a cherry pick, but it's one of those cherry picks that you can't really criticize, because it's Canelo's putting himself at some disadvantages as well. So I think it's honestly a pretty good fight.
And just finally, you join us midway through the Bellew of the Week. What about the biggest fight that's been announced? Tommy the Guru Allen going in against Spencer Fearon.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed.
Tommy's going to win by knockout in probably 30 seconds. I would guess. When Fearon fought, what weight was he?
Like middleweight, I think.
Dave Walker, so he would have been super welter.
Yeah, he's tiny. I think Tommy will destroy him. And apparently the band man himself, Dillian White, is hosting the fight, maybe refereeing, I heard. We've had him on the pod before, so I assume he's going to be supporting us, not Spencer. They're doing it at his gym. I'm looking forward to it. for one time in my life, I'll probably buy the pay-per-view.
Guess who?
You can have the B side and the B sample in one corner.
Guess who Spencer the Hadith actually picked to win last night at the main event?
Did he pick Prograis?
How do you think? Why'd you say that, Dave?
I don't know. I just had that. I just had that thought that he might have picked Prograis.
Had that kind of black and white feeling to it. Yeah.
So I picked Prograis as well.
Am I right?
So did Chuckroot.
He did. He picked Prograis.
Okay.
He missed the fight, didn't he?
I fell asleep. He did.
Well, but I mean, considering the animosity that was there beforehand, none of it was racial in nature. And after the fight, you saw class from both guys. I mean, you could see almost the respect building in both as the fight continued on, and you saw him take massive shots, and the other guy would say, "This guy's still here. This is murder." They couldn't think about any bad blood between the two while they were going at it. They had to be 100% focused on staying alive and staying in the fight. So I think those 12 rounds really brought them together. So I don't think we'll see any kind of trash talking, really mean-spirited trash talking between the two in the future.
Right, let's get back to the Bellew of the Week then, because we've got to get up early in the morning. Chad Hogan, Brian King himself. Yo.
Did you put up Shields already?
You know what, Dave? I'm just reading that one out right now.
Oh,
Clarissa Shields. I'm going to do MMA because the boxing world don't deserve me. Well done, Dave. Getting stuck in straight at the vital moments, as usual. Chad has also nominated Matthew Aguilar for his picks of the Boxing Hall of Fame. He's also nominated Sky Sports Boxing. David Price could be propelled into a major fight at Anfield, possibly against Dillian White if he beats Derek Chisora, says Eddie Hearn. John Heaton, a friend of the pod, nominated one of the Sky commentators, either Darren Barker or the other one who sounds like Darren Barker. RE David Price taking shots from Chisora. Yeah, he seems alright. Next second, Price is on the deck. Fight over. Billy Joe Saunders been nominated by Declan Graffin. Robbie Haywood wanted to see Tyson, Billy Joe Saunders, Isaac Lowe all training together. 4 masters at work. Billy Joe said, with a couple of hookers sucking your cock. Lapsed fan said that Prograis failed and let down many people, including the whole country. King Leopold's nominating for that. Chad's nominated Caleb Truax. Marcus McDonald was nominated by Toby Hines. No, it wasn't Marcus McDonald, sorry, it was Michael Buffer. He announced Marcus McDonald, the referee, as star referee John Smith. I don't know what on earth he was thinking of there, Buffer. I think he needs to be put out to pasture, doesn't he? Connor Bairn has said 1, 2, 3, 4 lights out. The Destroyer, pictures of his win. Daniel Suarez jumped in. Would like to see you fight Josh Taylor when he moves up to 147. Tags in Eddie Hearn. Connor Bairn against Josh Taylor. Come on, Daniel, you sicko. Nobody wants to see that. Shannon Courtney as well getting nominated. She's 4-0, age 26, says Porky. Her opponents' combined records are as follows: 1-13 and 2. Can you mention this on the channel? What is the point of having her on? And that is all the ones I've got. Any nominations from you, Andy?
None for me, mate. But I'll go for Buffer last night. He can't even get his trademark out properly these days. I think he's washed, beyond washed actually. But I'm going to vote for Spencer X. Just pure meltdown. Tommy's in his head. Camp Toot set a fire and that, so he's just getting settled in there. So he'd been there for a while as well, actually, by the sounds of it as well. So, and I actually offer someone out on Twitter seriously, and then tag in your mates for backup and stuff like that. It was just fucking priceless. It's shit like that Tommy lives for, man.
Oh yeah, hold me back, says Spence. Nominated from Andy. I'm going for Peter James Morrison for complaining that Canelo versus Kovalev should have been on Sky Sports box office. Who are you going for, Rob?
Yeah, I have to give a nomination to Amir Khan, who put out a Snapchat or something walking through the shopping centre with his missus saying, I'm out on a date and out with the missus, and she's not even dressed that pretty. And her face is like, in the background. So Amir, he has a certain way with the ladies. He's a real silver-tongued fox. Amir Khan, I'm out with the missus and she's not dressed that pretty. Fucking hell, man. Amir doesn't give a fuck, like, does he?
Comparing her to Michelle Phelps.
Hey, five fans.
Hey, five fans. I've got
talentless dope.
I've got yogurt running down my chin. Sorry, dull.
So in your last time, what does she ever talk about in the fight that you learn about a fight from looking at her channel? Nothing. Just her flirting with all the fighters. What a joke.
I've never actually watched it, to be honest. I never watched it.
I watch them all. No.
Yeah.
Good luck to her. Fight fans.
Right. Go on, Dave. Any nominations? If not, tell us who you've got so we can get out of here.
Just want to follow up on Ms. Clarissa Shields. She was also broke her silence on the arrest of her brother in his violent assault of the coach this couple weeks ago. She alleges that she thinks the police have the wrong man and that it was somebody else. She also came out with a strange quote, "But if your mother go and kill somebody, does that mean that you killed that person? No, your mother did." So
that's brilliant.
The mother's a cunt.
You know what? That actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Let me just write that down.
Yeah, that'll go down right alongside of waste not, want not, and all the great adages of this book. Clarissa is an intellect on par with Scott Quigg. I would say that she's gonna win it this week for me for a couple shitty quotes.
There you go. So we've got one for Clarissa, one for Peter James Morrison, one for Spencer X, and one for Amir Khan. We'll give it to them all, shall we? So we can just finish up out of here. Thank you to everybody who's been on. It's been a great fun as always. To all you guys in the chat, Lee the Alcoholic Froch there, Jason Chukwoo. Yep, Tony Ballou is with us as well. Thanks to Rapping Rob Kelly, Andy Patterson, Dave the Hater Lowback, Adam Smido Smith, Gabe Lewis, wherever he disappeared to. I think they shoved him into a boot somewhere. Also to Lee Wood and Steve Goodwin for jumping on with us, Danny Young and Dominic Henry. I've been Steve Wellings. We'll catch you all for episode 347, same time, same place, next week. Bye.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Thank you.